All right. I think we're all here now. My apologies, everyone. That was unexpected. And these sorts of things happen when you're doing this stuff the way that I do it sometimes. So thank you very much for your patience and for bearing with us and for finding the new link. No vertical stream today. Just the good old fashioned landscape as we all
As
grew
God
up
intended.
Like the good old days.
like the good old
right.
days. That's right.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited. But welcome one and all to my show. I'm Kip Davis. I'm a biblical scholar and a specialist in early Judaism and the Dead Sea Scrolls. I stream on Fridays, and today I am very happy to have with me my new friend, CJ Cornthwaite. Welcome. I have applause here somewhere.
I was gonna say, don't you have some like canned
do,
applause
yeah,
for me?
I do. Absolutely. This one says intense applause.
No, that's what I want. Yeah, that's good.
Well,
Wow.
that's good, right?
Yeah.
Do I?
love.
But it's just I only have intense applause apparently. So, but
You don't have
yeah.
the golf clap. Test your might.
In the dojo.
So, yeah.
Lord,
So,
come back.
welcome, CJ.
Thank you.
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm a little nervous. I don't stream very much, so this is yeah. I mean,
Oh wow. Okay.
yeah.
It's just pretend you're just hanging out with like 100 of your closest friends and
That's what I'm going for, yeah.
chatting about talking shit about Mike Jones as one does. So that's how this works.
That's how we
But
roll.
I'm very happy as well to have on a fellow Canadian. It doesn't happen all that often. So thank you for being here and for tipping the balance in my favor. So I appreciate that.
I gotta say, we're gonna hang out, eh? Looking forward to it, eh?
You guys both need to. You need to do the little God, what's the name of the sketch that Rick Moranis and his buddy used to be on, where they had the hats and everything?
The Bob and Doug. We need to do
Yeah. Bob and Doug.
Bob and Doug routine.
Mhm.
Some resurrect some strange brew memes. So I suck at those sorts of things. So I'm gonna pass. But you do want to maybe just for anybody who might be unfamiliar with you, it seems like you're suddenly all I don't know about all over the place, but you're now like doing a lot of content and a lot of really, really good content. The thing that I appreciate so much about your channel, I think it's linked in the description. I just quickly copy and paste the stuff from the
My name's
last
on the
verse, so
screen
it should be there.
if you Google.
There
that,
you go.
Anyway,
It's that's handy when you name your channel after yourself. It's
Yeah.
easy to find then, right? But I really appreciate that you are focused on bringing like high quality biblical scholarship to the general public, and that you have lots of interviews on your channel with legitimate biblical scholars, which God knows we need a lot more of. So I appreciate that. But maybe could you maybe say a few things about who you are and about your channel, and then we'll get into today.
Yeah, I a Canadian. I did my PhD. Like I guess I finished 7 or 8 years ago, and I worked outside of the academy for a while, so I didn't really do anything with it, which is maybe a shame, but it's kind of the realities of a lot of graduate students' situation when we graduate into
You
a
and
economy.
98% of the rest of grad students.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I worked outside, had to feed my kids. They keep eating, And anyway, so 7 years later, here we are. I started by talking about deconstruction, but I had so I have friends and family members going through this thing we call deconstruction, but then that inevitably leads to questions about the Bible. And I thought, hey, I know some stuff, so let's try and do it on YouTube. So that's what I've been doing, imperfectly, but it's a lot of fun, and I learn doing it. So yeah.
I think we all do. So, yeah, and we met because you were very nice and asked me to come on your channel to talk about the Dead Sea Scrolls, and we did for a really, really long time, which was great. I really enjoyed it.
I did
So,
too. Yeah. And
if
people have. There's still lots of people watching it.
oh,
So yeah.
nice, that's awesome.
Except a few people have come away with the idea that all the Dead Sea Scrolls were fake. So you were
Oh, that
definitely right about that one.
that is that's that is the frustrating thing in my world, part of my
Yeah.
existence. So, but the reason I wanted, oh yeah, maybe tell us too, because one of the things about actually being on this show, even though I have had um people on who aren't biblical scholars, um but usually they're working, or their work is geared in an area that makes them scholarly adjacent, in all honesty. I mean, apology has been here, and um actually, maybe he was the only one. Anybody else you can think of, Vish? I can't. Stephen Nelson isn't really a biblical scholar,
Yep.
but I mean, he owns a platform of Bibles. So, but you did your PhD at the University of Toronto, right? Was it in New Testament studies?
No, it was in. So the University of Toronto does have a rather large theological contingent. That's
Mm.
not where I was. I did my PhD in the religious studies department. So I had to do a lot of yeah, like just religious studies type of stuff, anthropology, sociology of religion. I had a specialization in Jewish studies and diaspora studies, but my focus was yeah, Christian origins.
This is common here. So
Shit.
I know. I mean, it's
Well,
I
I'm
know.
just gonna see myself out then. So
I listen, you know what? For as much as we don't care about the New Testament, the truth is, the dirty truth is, CJ, we talk about it a lot. I
yeah.
don't know how that works, but that's kind of what happens. Sorry, I didn't mean
I'm
to
pretty sure Jesus
interrupt
wrote
and
the Dead
distract.
Sea Scrolls. So
Oh,
I mean,
Jesus. Are we doing this now? Really? Is this where we're going? Wow,
you
maybe
heard
I
it here
should
first.
maybe I should just get into what we're doing today. So I wanted to have you on to talk about this. We covered some stuff from this stream that Mike Jones did with my friend Than Christopolous over at Inspiring Philosophy a few weeks ago, where they just complained um, quite strongly about Rhett McLaughlin and an interview that he did with Alex O'Connor, where they make a lot of recommendations on how they would fix the Christian church. I looked with my friend Lawrence. You've also, I guess, not technically a biblical scholar. So yeah, Lawrence has been on here, but he's a sharp guy. Um, so we looked at some stuff that they had to say about the Hebrew Bible, but they say a lot of things about the New Testament. And as much as we don't talk about the New Testament, but we actually do here. It's not my thing, and it's certainly much more your thing. And I thought it'd be cool to have you on. We've talked back and forth quite a bit about some of the stuff in this stream that they did. So I'm pretty excited about getting into this.
Yeah,
So
let's do it.
let's do it. And before we go, I've got a couple of super chats. I did want to say, um, I wouldn't say it was a conversation. It wasn't a conversation.
I was there for the first like 20 minutes. What did I miss after that?
A lot, but it wasn't a conversation. And this is the last time we're gonna talk about this.
Sure, bud.
But it just so right. Okay. Moving on. Tad is Mad is here. Thank you for the $2. Yay! It's one of my favorite YouTubers. Also, Tad doesn't like me very much, so but he's very happy that you're here, CJ. Sweet.
There you go.
So I'm pleased at least that for once in my life, I'm doing something that Tad approves of. So thanks, Tad. God, I can't even. How do I read that? I don't even know how to read this one. Thank you, uh, Prostetnik
Prostetnik
Vogan
Vogan
Yelts. Yes. Okay. Thank you very much for the super chat. If you
for
graduate from a
50
university
cents.
in Nunavut, do you become a boffin from Baffin? That's very good. I like it.
I'm assuming that's Canadian
I'm
lore.
groaning over that one. Yeah.
He's groaning. So,
Baffin
and
Island. I don't think there's a university on Baffin Island, to my knowledge.
I don't believe so.
I don't think there's much there.
Not
I think
much
there's
at
one
all.
in Iqaluit, but I forget. Anyway, Canadian trivia, yay!
It's fun. So, yes, that might be true. Lil, maybe it was the abomination of the Philistines who sabotaged my stream. All right. Okay, well let's look at this video if you want to bring it up, Fish. And before
Okay.
we start in on Mike Jones's stuff, I did want to bring something back from a couple weeks ago. We did a stream. Is it working?
Yeah.
So
I
okay.
just don't have it on the stage yet.
Oh, okay. We did a stream a couple weeks ago, Vish and I did, where we talked about P52. And I think you actually you mentioned you had seen it because CJ in an email to me was like, "Hey, you mentioned that you saw it and had some cool things to add." So I wanted to bring this back just to get some of the things that I missed that I think are really important to this discussion about P52. So I think, and I apologize, everybody. I know we promised not to bring the puppet back, but 9 seconds. I swear, it's 9 seconds. You can handle 9 seconds of this.
Dollar General peanut.
We actually have a fragment of this gospel. So tell me again how they waited centuries before writing it.
Okay, that's it.
Late first
P52
century,
from
same
the first
century as
century,
Jesus.
right? Yeah,
That's just
right.
it. Just keeps creeping back in time. Pretty soon it's going to be BC.
It is right. It's
Didn't you just put out a video about the gospel that came out like 9 years before Jesus was supposed to be born?
Well, it was just I don't want to say it was clickbait because I don't think it was, but it was it was more that the word gospel was used.
Undeniable proof.
Yeah. No, just that the word gospel was floating around in imperial inscriptions from before Jesus. So yeah.
So we spent a lot of time talking about P52, mostly about the work that Brent Nongbri's done on the redating of P52. But we're also I am a codicological nerd. I know there are codicological nerds in my chat. You had some really interesting observations that I didn't get to about reconstructing this codex and some of the other factors that Christian apologists just don't seem to take into account, probably because they don't know this kind of stuff. It's pretty arcane, but it's very interesting.
Yeah. So, okay, P52. The one thing that I said in my email to you, and I think I forget somebody has pointed this out, but people haven't made much of it, is that it's really unlikely it was ever a full copy of like what we think of when we think of John's gospel. Because when you look at that little codex, and I forget how many words are on each side, it's like 20 words on each side or something. But if you imagine if you take pages like that with 20 words on each side, how many it would take to get the full gospel of John, I calculated with the help of AI once a couple weeks ago. And it said it would be like 3 inches thick or something. And the actual physicality of manuscripts is much more your deal than mine. But I was like, I think that makes sense. Like if it was the full thing, it would be a huge, huge codex with like only that many words on each side. So I don't know. Maybe it's just a piece of it. That was one. You said it makes sense. So.
I think it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. It's the sort of thing that we do. And I've talked about this before when looking at scrolls, which is what I work with. Just calculating the size of these things is one of the ways in which we set some delimitations on the contents, and we actually know some things about what the text was before, even just from a few fragments. I grabbed my copy of Sefer Malim here, which is my Hebrew Dictionary of the Targum, Talmud Bavli, Yerushalmi, and Midrashic literature, just because it is like, I don't even think that's 3 inches thick. It's probably like 2.5. But it's you know, it's a small book. That it's the pocket edition, and it's virtually impossible to read. I don't know, like it's terrible. But yeah, stuff like this, this is a modern book. You can do things like this with modern books just on the basis of how book technology has developed. In antiquity, there's limits to what they even could do, because they assembled codices from individual leaflets that they then bound into quires, and then they stitched those quires together into a codex. And the quires themselves, right, like, especially when you're working with papyrus and you've only got so much space to work with, after a time, there's just too many. It just becomes completely unwieldy, and impossible to handle or to bind.
Using the Habermas Standard Dictionary is very authoritative.
Very true. All right. Okay. Well, let's I appreciate that, though.
Yeah, that's
you
cool.
bringing
And the
that
other
up.
thing I said, I don't remember if you talked about this, but P. Egerton, there's another
Oh, yeah.
papyrus that would be,
That's right.
it's dated with the same kind of comparenda as P52, paleographically. And it actually has a story that's found in the Gospel. It's not the Gospel of John. It has different stories, but one of the stories in it is found in the Gospel of John. I have it here. Which one is it? It's when Jesus says, "Search the scriptures in which you think you have life. These are the ones that bear witness concerning me." So it's got a chunk of the same story from the Gospel of John, but it's actually missing a narration section in the middle. So
Nice.
it's like people have gone back and forth, as you imagine, about which is earlier, but there's a good case that P. Egerton is actually earlier. So it's weird that we have things floating around that look like the Gospel of John. So if you get a manuscript of something, like, what does it mean? What is P52 from? I don't know. So it's not that, again, it's just like there's just only so much it proves in that sense, especially when you look at the dating and yeah, the work that, as you say, that Nongbri's done in the dating really throws into question that we can really pull that much from it. But the puppet says it's 1st century, so I don't know. I'm going to be rethinking what I'm saying about it.
Question for Kat to clarify.
Yeah, the choir. I think I've got this right, and this is not because I don't work with codices at all, right? But I do believe that the way these are constructed are they put leaves together, and then they sew them, right, and fold them, and that's a choir. I think that's the correct term. And then
is that the choir, or is the sewing part the choir? Now I'm questioning.
Maybe the sewing part's the choir.
I forget.
No, I don't. Now I'm not even. I
find this all in
Brent
Nongbri's blog. He goes and like recreates this stuff. So he really, if you really want to nerd out on the physicality of manuscripts, you should go read some of his stuff.
I might go write him this week. I'm still pretty intent on getting him on the channel, but yeah, I'd hate to be spreading misinformation, so maybe everybody just ignore everything I said over the course of the last couple of days.
Oh, here comes the response video.
Oh yeah. Not a book guy.
It's not a book guy, obviously.
Obviously, right? Yes. Because this
technology,
as we all know this, right? This is no secret at this point.
All right.
Kev Davis has written nope.
Sorry. That happens from time to time here, CJ. So, okay, we ready to get into this?
I watched the channel. I know what's going on.
Hey,
okay.
Nice. Yeah.
Fast forward to modern times, and you've got Christian apologists who spend a lot of time making the case that Christianity is the most reasonable worldview that you can have.
That's us.
That the resurrection is the best explanation for the start of the church. Like the literal bodily resurrection of Jesus is the most reasonable explanation for the start of the church.
It is.
And I don't think that's.
Yeah. Well, that's just like your opinion, man.
That's what that is. Are you familiar with Than, CJ?
A little
all?
bit. I looked him up because I had watched this when you sent it to me a few weeks ago. So I looked up some of his stuff.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
and I was reading his blog about Bayesian probability and
Oh,
resurrection.
you read that though?
Yeah, I
right?
tried. I got like 3/4 of the way through.
So I think
Yeah.
the thing that sticks out, I was going to bring this up. The thing that sticks out to me in is that it? That's it there. In his blog is this little bit here. Apologia made a fantastic video about the blog post that Than wrote. This honestly, I think Paul's in the chat, and I might have told him this, but like this is, I think this is maybe one of my favorites of his videos like ever. But which is saying a lot because all of his stuff is really great. But this is the part in that paper of Than's that really stuck out to me. Than, in terms of his Bayesian model, I don't know if he got that far in his blog, but for a prior probability of resurrection has set it at one in a million.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna play this.
So let's make this analogy more clear and where it differs from the resurrection case. The prior for tigers is much higher than that of a resurrection. Even Than has 1 out of 10,000 for the prior of a tiger and only 1 in a million for the resurrection. I find it remarkable that Than would consider these even reasonable numbers before assessing any data, that a person rising from the dead, against all of our best understanding of how the universe works, is only 100 times less likely than seeing a tiger. Even Than's prior of 1 in a million for the resurrection is ludicrously too large, despite his insistence that this is a very skeptical prior. A very simple estimate, taking the entire known population ever to lived on the planet, around 100 billion, with at most 1 resurrection, puts it at below 1 in 100 billion. And that is before we include our understanding of biology, of the psychology of extraordinary claims, of physics, etc., etc. The prior will be much, much lower than 1 in 100 billion. So I will treat that as an upper estimate. Also, you have to...
Probably enough, but I think the point is made.
It was so funny. Well, I know we're gonna get into some of this stuff in the video, but it's so funny because I did read his blog, and it's like in the first five sentences, he's like, well, ancient biographies were concerned with like being factual, so let's just move on and let's do the Bayesian analysis.
Okay.
Like, why don't you read a fucking ancient biography? Like, they're
Have
all
you
over
ever
the
read
place.
one?
There's tons of stories of like people raising from like, yes, there could be a core of fact in ancient biographies, but you virtually get Vespasian going to Alexandria and healing a blind man by spitting on his eyes. I just did a video on that one today. But it's like you get these kind of miracles and like exceptional events all over ancient biographies. So it's like if you go to that much work to do the math and don't bother to read one other ancient biography, it seems like maybe you're missing out on something.
Feels
prior
like
of
it.
1 in a million, writes David Sinclair. There are 7,000 resurrectees walking the earth right now.
Right now.
Those are the Jerusalem zombies.
I was
It's like a million sounds big until you realize that there's 8.5 almost billion people currently alive on the planet right now. So that's actually not. It's not that.
I've talked to Than about this just briefly. But when I say I've talked to him about that, that's me texting going, "Lol, 1 in a million. Are you kidding me?" And he like when we were at SBL. He and I were trying to find some time to sit down because he's said, we should sit down and we should talk about this. I'm gonna sort all this out for you. I am just he thinks that I'm sorry, I'm lost on this. I just don't see how this is a real thing, a real number. Well, it isn't. It isn't. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe one day. Maybe
I think there's a 1 in a million chance it's a real number.
Low bar bill. Chrissy.
Thanks, Chrissy. The Historia Augusta Bioi are totally concerned with the historical fact. Nothing absurd in there at all.
Yeah.
I haven't read any of the Augustine histories. So, but
all right.
Cool. Let's continue.
Okay. I don't think it's the most reasonable explanation for the start of the church. But I think that what ends up happening when you have a brain like mine and you are sort of motivated to try to get the things that you believe to line up with reality, you're told this is the most reasonable thing. And so you really jump in with the reason and logic, and then you encounter a faith that says that reason and logic can be a little bit overrated. And what I see in the Bible from Jesus and all.
Where does the Bible ever imply or teach logic and reason are overrated? They're going to try.
The foolishness of God is greater than the wisdom of the wise.
I love that Than has his head in his hands. Like, this is so absurd. Who could ever say such an obvious thing?
What about that? The whole like, you walk by faith, not by sight. The whole like, hey, kill your kid. No hesitation. All right. And then you get apparently in the narrative rewarded for it. Like, what does he mean?
We're going to talk about all of these things, right? But that is something, CJ, that you hit on right at the outset. I think that just struck me the most about this video and bothered me the most about this video is the reactions of Mike and Than to the most
reasonable,
like the most reasonable things, right? Like it just
wait, what are you talking about?
Do we have different definitions of reason and reasonable? Because every instance that I'm aware of is that when something dies, it stays dead. And when humans die, they stay dead. And you're telling me it's reasonable to think that this one guy, he didn't stay dead. But there's no body. And like, we don't have any real actual direct evidence of this happening, but a bunch of people like formed groups worshiping him. So that proves that there must be evidence somewhere. That's reasonable?
That's like, I swear you were just watching the Apologia video with Brian Blaze, because they spend like 5 minutes talking about the problem of the fact that as near as we can tell, 100% of people stay dead. So it's wow, that's very prescient of you, Vish.
Simone says, we get it, Vishanti. You had Elisha. I want that woman kids to stay dead. You hate Elisha, probably is what she means.
You hate Elisha. Okay.
But I mean, eventually that kid died again, so
this is really what we're going to focus on today is this point that Rhett really reinforces is how important faith is within constructing a modern Christian worldview, and how contrary to, I guess, reason that can be. I think where he's hitting on this as well is this is the experience of a lot of people who do go through this deconstruction process. And as you and I have sort of exchanged notes about this, like, he's not wrong in the way that he evaluates a lot of these questions. But Mike, so Rhett's going to bring up 3 texts in the Bible to explain what faith is and what that relationship from a biblical perspective of faith to reason or logic or evidence is. I don't know who this guy is.
Mic drop.
He caused somebody under this moniker caused so much trouble on my channel last night. I don't
so you were talking about
I'm so bummed that I didn't.
Listen, I didn't. This wasn't me. This was other people on my channel. I don't know what to tell you.
Was he just continuing the conversations from SBL? Was that what was happening?
No,
okay. That tells me all I need to know. That tells me all I need to know.
I don't know how.
All right, bless your heart. You're trying.
All right, yes.
Fine.
We should move on. We should get into this first text,
Yes.
Hebrews chapter 11 here.
Whoever wrote Hebrews, Paul, I see a completely different message.
Okay.
So I'm sure these are all verses that you're familiar with, but just to explore the idea of what faith looks like in the Bible.
Let's take a look. Follow along at home. Bible study.
Yes. So we're starting with, the famous verse.
Prediction. Do I get to take a drink if I make a correct prediction? Is he going to quote the Hebrews, it's evidence of things not seen? Which makes no sense whatsoever, but do you think that's where he's going with that?
I've seen it, so I know.
Okay, well then no spoilers. No spoilers.
You can
In
play
Hebrews,
along, chat.
Hebrews 11:1, right? I'm reading from the ESV because that was my translation of choice. It's not always exactly what I'm looking for, especially in this verse. But now faith is the assurance of things hoped for, the conviction of things not seen. And this is the beginning of this hall of faith.
The conviction of things
not seen. Now the NASB says now.
I know I wasn't supposed to keep pausing this early, but I just realized, does that mean germs and photons and like quantum particles?
That is faith. Sorry, what are you?
That you could have faith in things that you can't see. That
you can have faith in the photons.
I was just watching the PBS space-time video on
on quarks. Can you have faith in quarks?
Well, it's like the dark matter particles and what they were trying to find. Sterile neutrons or something like that.
Like neutrinos or something? I don't know. I'm not very sciencey.
Well, I mean, they were subatomic particles to try to determine, like, did they have mass and did they have spin, and if they did, and blah, blah, blah. So it's like you can't see them directly, so
they're unseen.
They are unseen.
Not entirely sure.
See magnetism. You can only see its effects.
Not entirely sure that's what the author of Hebrews is getting at.
Being an ass.
But
yeah.
But
faith is the certainty.
Oh, yes, thank you, Bitcores. You beat me to it. Sterile neutrinos. Thank you. I was somewhat close.
I have something to look up later.
Apologies says, yeah, you atheists have faith in germs and air and gravity. We're all the same.
100%. Yes, that's it. Do you have any comments before we go farther about the translation?
Well, do you want to? Does Mike do a response? If I'm remembering, he says
he does. Should we get through the?
Do you want to do that, and then I can?
Let's get through the response.
Of things hoped for, the proof of things not seen, which I like that even more because it fits with where I'm trying to go.
Yeah.
And
did you catch what he just said? I didn't catch that before. He said, "I like this more because it goes with what I'm saying."
I think it was a joke, by the way.
Yeah, it sounds really bad when they say it directly out loud, right, Dan? That should just remain an unspoken assumption. It's tacky to say it out loud.
But doesn't this just sort of emphasize the point too? When you encounter English translations of the biblical text that have a lot of variants like this, usually that means that this is something that scholars have a lot to say on, and that there's it's not always a simple text. Sometimes it's pretty complicated.
It would be cool if they would just listen to the Holy Spirit and stop being such godless atheists about it.
I mean, that's certainly the advice of the author of Hebrews. So,
just stop.
I mean, I used to be told by pastors and Sunday school teachers that you just could not understand the Bible without the Holy Spirit. So scholars were just making this crap up as they went along.
That's all they do.
I was always told you can listen to reason and use your brain, but if it ever conflicts with what we tell you, then you're not listening to the Holy Spirit. Gotta lean not on your own understanding, right?
Lean not on your own understanding. They missed that one. It's too bad. But
most apologists do.
Womp womp.
I like to say it to us.
Sure. To be fair, he's like saying it as a joke, but still, it's like, come on, man.
Yeah. I don't, man, whatever.
I've never seen Mike. I've never seen Mike and Than privilege a translation because it fits their ideology better. Never have I seen.
Apologists would never do that.
No.
You usually have to if you don't know the original languages. You're just
exactly right.
Well, exactly.
I don't get. Oh yeah, this sounds good. Okay, I get it.
I mean, this is exactly what Lexlado was saying. He'll straighten right out. His Greek is as good as his Hebrew.
Hey guys, he's got a Greek tattoo on the other forearm.
Does he really?
I am not joking. That's one. There's a New Testament. I think it's I'm not. No, I don't remember what it is. But he's got a Greek text from the New Testament on one forearm, Hebrew text from the Old Testament on the other.
Can't read either of them.
Can't read either one.
Good job, guy.
So
good job.
Way to go.
Love that for him.
That verse is that you see a bunch of people in this hall of faith, people who exercise faith to accomplish all of these incredible things, and it's people who found themselves in a situation where they had to rely on the authority of God and on the word of God and God's promises in order to move into faith. But it was definitely something. It wasn't something that like I am going to reason my way through the situation and I'm going to make the decision that the evidence suggests is the best possible decision. It's like, no, I'm going to follow what I hear from God, right? So right there, we see that in it said in another place, we walk by faith, not by sight. So again, is this evidence and observation, or is this faith, right?
I'm going to stop it there because I want to talk a little bit about Hebrews for a second. Then I'm going to kick it to Than because he made some slides. Okay, walk by faith and not by sight. You got to think about what's being said there. Okay, you're in an ancient world and you don't see the kingdom of God. You see people still being degenerate. You still see children being turned into slaves. Okay, you walk by the faith and the promise of God, for which you have evidence to believe. And where do we go for that? I don't know. Maybe Hebrews 11, which they just said, is about rejecting reason and believing in faith. Because there's a very, very important section of Hebrews they did not read, which is about Abraham.
Second here before we continue, because something that Michael said that I want to come back to as this continues, because he keeps coming back to this. You caught that, how he wants to connect slavery to these things that he thinks the New Testament writers are countering as they discovered it. He'll say more about this later on, so I'll pick up on it again. But this is very much something that Michael wants to do, is to connect things like the elimination of slavery, the invention of education, the founding of hospitals, the enfranchisement of women, all these things that he wants to credit to Christianity. He's just going to smuggle backwards into his exegesis of these New Testament texts. So people should watch for that.
Sorry, I have to I have to address something really quick because it's making me laugh. I think we have a Kent Hovind sock account. Somebody named James, I'm just going to call them Kent Hovind, said, well, what caused them first the life form in the universe? It had no parents to breed and create its life and nothing to evolve from. Hey, James, Origin of Life is something that you can read about. I recommend that you don't watch James' tour. You could go to Professor Dave Explains, who is a chemist who's talked about this quite a bit. These are things that you can learn about because, the little phone in your pocket contains pretty much the sum total of human knowledge that we have. And there's a lot of things in here in that little glass rectangle of doom that could teach you about how life formed and what the best proponents and hypotheses are for that. The fact that you were like, oh, it needs parents. I think you need to revisit some of your remedial, like middle school biological classes, but hey. I do want to say that it is very funny when people say, you have faith, God isn't real, but you can't prove it. Nope, that's not how that works.
You can't prove it either way.
Yeah, not being convinced of something doesn't mean you have faith. That's not how that works. But hey, all right. Back to the video.
Yep.
Okay. Verse 17. By faith, Abraham, when he was tested, offered up Isaac, and he who had received the promise was in the act of offering up a son, of whom it was said, through Isaac shall your offspring be named. So the author tells us Abraham was told, hey, the covenant's going to come through Isaac and his offspring. So he's going to grow up and have kids. What did Abraham do? He considered. Whoa, he considered. Some translations say he reasoned, if I'm not mistaken. But that's generally what that
King
word means.
James.
He's reasoning. He reasoned that God was able to raise him from the dead, for which, figuratively speaking, he did receive him back.
Which I think is an interesting read. I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but
It's not.
Hebrews is stating it as if that is just default in the text, and it's not.
I think the word there is logizomai, which is not.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so that's not. I mean, it's a very. It can mean that. Like it's similar. It's related to logos, so it has a huge semantic range, like a lot of these words. So it can mean considering, but it's not necessarily considering based on like evidence, like 2 + 2 is 4 kind of scientific evidence. It could be like, I don't know. I'm trying to think of an example. Like, I think my wife's cheating on me. Like, why? Because I have a feeling. Well, like that's reasoning, but it's not evidence, right? Like there's got to be a difference between like these two things. So it's logizomai is just it's a huge semantic range, and it's like half the time when you're reading the New Testament and somebody thinks something or considers something, or it's probably this word. So it's not. We shouldn't make too much of it, I don't think.
I mean, why don't you just take your wife to the priest, and he'll make a little soup out of the tabernacle dirt and write a curse on it, and she can drink it. That's how you find out, right?
You can think irrational things all the time, right? And you would probably, I don't know, I don't, yeah, my Greek's not phenomenal, but I suspect that you would construct sentences describing the same thing using the same word. Yeah.
Well, it's the whole, and like we were talking about this before a little bit. You pointed this out, Kip, but like this whole chapter is trying to actually reframe all of the Hebrew Bible to imply that all of these people did these things by faith. Like it's not just about like, this is not evidence. This is an author trying to encourage people, as Rhett correctly points out, like they're going through some hard times. And he's like, well, look at all these other people who did stuff by faith. So she, I could say she, we don't know who wrote Hebrews, but some people think it's a woman. Anyway, so yeah,
That's
I mean, it's just,
thought.
it's hard to, yeah, I don't think we can actually know. But
also, like with Abraham specifically, this isn't really a great argument for saying that he did it by faith, because Abraham hadn't seen anybody raised from the dead either, right?
Yeah.
Well, but hold on. And I think we should go there, but I maybe I'll, because you brought it up. This is from Attridge's commentary. This is the Hermaniah commentary on Hebrew. So it's a bit dated, like it's from the 80s. It's still pretty good though. He says about this text on the so-called Hall of Faith. One peculiarity in all of these examples is that none of the original stories from which they were drawn explicitly highlights faith. This is smuggled in by the author, right? Yeah. Conversely, biblical accounts where faith does play a role are ignored. In some cases, our author may have been inspired by Haggadic traditions to ascribe faith to the biblical heroes, but such traditions do not explain all the elements of the chapter. It is clear that faith has not been chosen as an organizing rubric for these exempla or any inductive principle. It is imposed on or read into a list of biblical heroes.
I think like the one thing that's really important that I should say is like the word faith there, we think is propositional belief. But like really it's just trust. Like I went through, I was translating a bunch of contracts once, and like every single contract has the word faith in it somewhere. And it's not saying like I propositionally believe that like this is going to happen. It's just saying I trust that what we do is going to happen, you know? So it's a lot of the, like when we read it back through the lens of theology, the idea that faith has this like object, and there is some of this kind of Platonic dualism in Hebrews, but like I don't think what we think of as faith is what's happening here. There's a famous book, it's Teresa Morgan, Roman Fides and Christian Pistis, or Christian Faith or something, Teresa Morgan, but it's a famous book on this. But ultimately, like, yeah, so that would be the one thing. And then I was going to say to the like you get the same thing in Romans. Abraham believed God and it was counted to him for righteousness. Like it's a trying to co-opt these Hebrew Bible figures into your I think James uses the same thing too. So it's like all these people trying to co-opt these Hebrew Bible stories into your view, but that doesn't necessarily mean, I don't know, that Like there's just a layer removed. Like you don't actually ask what the author's doing. You're like, this is proof. Like, well, what is the author trying to do with this? That's a really good question we should ask.
That's
what is
maybe
this?
the first question you should ask about. Like, that's honestly, it's so irritating to me that I think one of the maybe, I mean, there's a lot of critical problems with apologetics, but one of those really critical problems about apologetics is none of these guys seems to know how to read the text on a level that it was intended to be understood. That's it's a great starting point.
Well, there's something like I remember reading the Bible like this when I was an evangelical, because it was literally like there is no author. It's just God wrote it for me. Open it. What does it say to me? Like that's what's important.
Yeah.
And you start studying these things critically, and like you have to at least think about, even if you want to read these as a faith person, like you still need to start to think about like, what was this situation this was being written for? That's a really good thing to think about. What is the author trying to do? What is the author not saying? Like, how is the author framing things?
Yeah, I have a problem with a lot of this in like English discourse, because the English word faith has a very, very broad and nebulous range of meaning. It can mean anything from trust to hope or wishful thinking. It could mean in a very like strong internal conviction or opinion. And I feel like whichever one is the most convenient at the moment is the one that gets applied whenever apologists are reading the text.
Yep.
And that causes a whole history of problems. But I also have problems with them when they don't really look at the Hebrew semantics, like emunah. It's not faith as in like a mental opinion. It's an action of behavior, like fidelity or faithfulness. It's a behavior and action. And that's what, the text is talking about with Abraham. It's like God said, do a thing. And he was like, okay. And he did it. And that like action is what was given.
Very often.
Credited, so.
Yeah. Very often within the Hebrew text, you can actually incorporate a sense of loyalty into that definition of,
I think that's true in Greek
faith. Yeah. Yeah.
Which makes sense because it's a covenantal relationship.
Yes,
and
exactly.
That's something that works both with relationships and business contracts as well.
Yep.
You have to have a fidelity to like the agreement that you made. So that's like something that's frequently overlooked, and it gets lost in a lot of the like post-Reformation, like faith versus works, like discourse.
Exactly.
So,
totally.
That sucks.
And when you go back to this chapter and you read it again, saying like, if you were to say like trust or faithfulness is the substance of things hoped for, like that all of a sudden shifts the semantic range, and you're getting closer to what I think the author is trying to say, which is again like to Rhett's point, which was absolutely correct. It's like, keep going, even though you don't see the evidence, keep trusting.
Yeah. And again, that's trust, hope, wishful thinking, Simone clarifies a lot of how pistis is used in the Greek is closer to chesed than emunah.
Yeah, that's true.
So again, those words can have a lot of range. So you really, really got to look at, the narrative point there, but.
I'm gonna see if Michael says something about it here, but I have something to say about what the author of Hebrews has to say about this offering of Isaac.
Okay. So what is the author of Hebrews saying? Is that Abraham was like, okay, I've had an encounter with the divine. God literally showed up and he said, the covenant's going to go through Isaac. But now God has told me to offer up my son. So either God is going to stop me or he's going to raise him from the dead, because God is going to.
Or there could be a secret third thing. I don't think.
Or I could have another child.
Abraham had an idea that there was a resurrection, because what's the precedent for that?
But what does the author of Hebrews thinks happened?
The author of Hebrews
very importantly, if you look back at this text, he says that he thought that God was going to raise him from the dead. So, and I've talked about this before. I mean, they're later, certainly, but we have these Jewish traditions, these rabbinical traditions of God actually resurrecting Isaac, not stopping. So I don't think, and I think it's an important point here too to make, that the author of Hebrews, I think, thought either that Isaac was killed and actually resurrected, or that Abraham's intention all along was that he was going to go through with it, that the idea that God was going to stop it was just not something that was part of his calculus. I mean, there's no evidence from this text, certainly, that that's part of his calculus. It are you looking at
I'm looking at the Greek. I'm trying to see if I can see any clues of it. I'll have to go away and think about it. I don't think I'm going to see it right now. But
the syntax is
I can't stop thinking about jubilees. It's telling of this particular narrative has always really entertained me, and I quite like it. It's very much like a riff on the Job bet between God and Satan, but it just flips him over and puts Mistema into place. So
nice. Okay.
Yeah, I can't see anything, but that's interesting. That's an interesting thought and makes some sense in my brain. I have to go away and look at it.
Oh, cool. All right.
Yeah.
Fulfill that promise. That's what faith is about. Notice it's not a rejection of reason, which is what we're getting from these two guys. It's, I have good reason to trust God because I have seen the divine being. I've seen him do wonders. Therefore, I have good reason to trust him.
Can I just say, like, those two... Forgive my English, but isn't this just an English semantic thing as well? Like talking about reason and saying I have a reason to trust God. That's not the same thing, right? I don't know.
Remember that time?
It's back to like my wife example. It's like
talking about English discourse, that these words will just conveniently shift meaning depending on what's convenient for the argument. Like, guy.
My faith in him. That's the real thing we should be saying. Why do we place our faith in Jesus? We have good reason to place our faith. It's reason, then faith. That's how that works. It's not we reject reason and we have faith. I don't know how many times we have to point this out to people.
I mean, look, man, I know a lot of his followers probably are taking a different tack here, but he really needs to talk to the fundamentalists and the evangelicals about this, because that is an extremely common refrain in those circles, is that your reasoning is secondary to faith. And then faith is obviously their shorthand for that specific theology. So he can try to talk to people who have left Christianity or deconstructing or whatever. Those aren't the people that you need to call out about this, friend. You need to talk to the evangelicals and the fundamentalists, because they're the ones pushing this.
I also I think through this, I don't see anything in this chapter that would fit our kind of modern criteria for, quote unquote, reason or evidence or something. It's like, it's a sermon. It's convincing to people who believe it. It's not, he's not saying and there were 100 eyewitnesses that saw Abraham and Isaac. We can get to later, but it's just, it's encouraging people to keep going based on things they can't see. It's like literally exactly what Rhett was saying.
This seemed like an insurmountable challenge, but he made it through.
Going, and isn't that great? It's wonderful.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, read your Bible.
This is just a total myth about what the Bible teaches. It never said.
Okay, but that's again something people negotiate with. They'll take verses like, what is it? The cross is foolishness to those who are perishing, and the foolishness of God is greater than the wisdom of the most learned men. They'll take stuff like that and use that to prop up their whole theology trump reason.
Lean not on your own understanding.
On your understanding.
Yeah. That's the cross is foolishness is coming up, by the way. So,
okay. It was the cross. Thank you. I was trying to remember way back.
You have faith as a rejection of reason. Go on, I'm rambling.
I'm just sad that this is still around.
Oh yeah, it's never gone away because it's the favorite point. But
so here I just made a few slides on this. You all know the verse, Hebrews 11:1. Now faith is the confidence in what we hope for and the assurance about what we do not see. There's actually a lot more that you can unpack with this, by the way, that I'm going to today. Hebrews is I'll say this, you're going to see some Christological implications here, but here's the previous context to Hebrews 11:1, 10:35-39. Do not therefore abandon that confidence of yours. It brings us great reward, for you need endurance, yada, 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 for yet in a little while. You get the point. So this is the context. And then you'll see Hebrews 11:1 open up with.
Pause it for a second. He's really going to just yada, yada, yada this? this is importantly, I want people to look at what's on the screen here. Do not therefore abandon that confidence of yours. It brings a great reward, for you need endurance, so that when you have done the will of God, you may receive what has promised. For yet, these are in quotation marks, in a very little while, the one who is coming will come and will not delay, but my righteous one will live by faith. My soul takes no pleasure in anyone who shrinks back. Those are Hebrew Bible citations. But more appropriately, those are Septuagint citations of the Old Testament. And this is something that that commentators have pointed out and spent a lot of ink on, is how much the author of Hebrews has altered the text of Habakkuk 2:2-3 to make his point here. And there's an ongoing question of even whether I think it's Atridge again actually raises the question, whether the author of Hebrews, this text, this citation in Hebrews, is actually influenced the preserved Greek version of this in Habakkuk 2:2-3. While you have it on the screen there, let me just read for you the Hebrew version of this. And by the way, I think it's not all Habakkuk 2:2-3. The first bit there looks like it might be from Isaiah chapter 26, I think. So this is Habakkuk 2 starting in verse 1, and this is the JPS translation. Sorry, I didn't take the time to make my own translations today. I will stand on my watch. I know,
I'm never coming back.
Damn it. Sorry. I will stand on my watch, take up my station at the post, and wait and see what he will say to me, what he will reply to my complaint. Yahweh answered me and said, write the prophecy down, inscribe it clearly on tablets so that it can be read easily. Okay, here's the part that Hebrews is quoting from. Listen for the differences. For there is yet a prophecy from a set term, a truthful witness for a time that will come. Even if it tarries, wait for it still. For it will surely come without delay. Lo, his spirit, behold, his spirit within him is puffed up, not upright, but the righteous man is rewarded with life for his fidelity. Do you see it? Do you hear the differences there from what the author here in Hebrews is doing? He's personified this, right? The one who is coming.
Is this a case of how a lot of languages use he and it interchangeably?
Yes.
And it's picking the he?
Yes. So these are there's
it's
no
actually
neuter.
A play. Sorry, I was just going to say in the Greek. Sorry, I had to find the Greek quick. It's
Okay.
ha'okomenos, which is actually the same thing you get in the Synoptic Gospels with like John the Baptist saying, "Are you the coming one? Are you ha'okomenos, like the one who is coming?" So it's actually the same.
Wow.
That's what
And it's in the Hebrew, it is an infinitival absolute construction. It's bo. Sorry, let me grab it. Here that's verse 3. I think verse 3. It's bo yavo. Sorry, kivo yavo. So surely it's coming. It's the way that that Hebrew will provide strong emphasis on a verbal construction. The Septuagint translators famously never understood how this construction works, and so came up with all sorts of ways to and that's clearly what they've done here, is they've turned the infinitive absolute portion of that construction into a substantival, the coming one, right?
That's cool. There's also like Hebrews is famous for the other one, the Psalm 22 one about you pierced my hands and my feet or whatever. No, we don't have to go there
Really?
now, but that's another
Okay.
famous.
We should
Yeah,
talk
like
about
it
that
doesn't
after at
line
some
up with the
point.
Hebrew at all.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think it's important to note that you're already dealing with a text that is either working from a mistranslation of the Hebrew text, or it is adapting and adjusting the Hebrew text to see the text itself to suit their purposes. But then this also certainly fits within the realm of early Jewish scripture exegesis. This is just what
Yeah.
they did.
It's a sermon, right?
This
It's
is just
like,
Yeah,
midrash.
exactly.
yeah,
They're
let's riff
riffing,
on it a little
they're
bit.
pulling
Yeah.
text and they're riffing off of them to
Yeah.
to suit their own points and their own purposes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. I just wanted to touch on that.
Now this, or now faith. So this is the preceding context, and the author of Hebrews is building upon this for a bigger argument. It's also helpful to point out that there is a broader context to the whole entire book of Hebrews. Hebrews 3:6, but Christ is faithful over God's house as a son, and we are.
Can I just say something
we are his
super
masterpiece
quick?
indeed.
It's
We
not
hold fast.
that big of a deal, but that, like, saying the now this as if those two things are like cosmically tied together. Like in the Greek, it's just the particle de, and it's just like most sentences in Greek will start like that. So there's not some huge contrast set up. It's just standard. It's standard Greek. So I don't think, not that one doesn't lead to the other. I do think the now is a reasonable translation. Like, because of that, here's all the faith stuff. But
Yeah.
I don't think you should make too much out of that because it's not actually in the Greek. But sorry, continue.
I'm also seeing hold our confidence. We have confidence, hold fast. Those are actions that would more accurately map onto Emuna than it would just, oh, I have an opinion. Like,
Yep.
Whatever.
3:14, hold our original confidence firm to the end. We have confidence. The point is confidence that leads to endurance is the point here. So faith is characterized by a refusal to shrink back. It's about exhibiting the quality of not giving up, which is evident in all the examples that follows in Hebrews 11:1, and they themselves.
I agree with that, but that's not reason. Like, I agree with that.
It's not reason. That's an action. That's
Yeah.
behavior. That's not a mental
saying keep going.
behavioral it's an action. It's not a mental proposition or
And the
pattern
other
of
thing
thinking.
about this too, right? Like, we were all Christians
Frustrating.
once, right? And I had this. I mean, this was my experience, because this is what so much of this chapter in Hebrews is about: is endurance and perseverance and sticking to it through the rough stuff to get to the end.
Yeah.
Right. And I remember as a Christian when things went poorly in my life, when I felt particularly rotten about the way my life was going. It was this kind of stuff, right? Oh, God's been so good to me. Look at all these wonderful things that he has done for me in the past. I've got a roof over my head. I've got parents who love and care for me. I have a wife and a family. Like these are the sorts of things I continue to return to time and time and time again as a way to say things are going to get better. But I mean, and we've all done this, I think, just because it's a coping mechanism for enduring really shitty stuff that happens, right?
I think that's like how most people actually read this. I think they're actually reading this contrary to even how most evangelicals read this, because I used to read this. I love this chapter, the being surrounded. Therefore, since we're surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses,
yeah,
let us
right?
throw aside every weight.
They're
that
rooting for
squeezes
you.
and
Hang
snares us.
on.
It's
Yeah.
like, and it's not like they're the cloud of witnesses. Like, there are so many eyewitnesses. Like, no, it's like they've run the race and I'm going to run it too. It's not a.
Yep.
It's just it's exhortation. It's beautiful, but to say that there's, I don't know, like, it's just, this is not a philosophical treatise, really.
Yeah. And it's like, look, people would be much less likely to endure shitty circumstances if they were convinced it had no meaning, no purpose, and whatsoever. And if you tell them, well, all things work out, together for good, if you love God enough, then that's motivation for them to hang in there. I'm not saying that's evil. I'm just saying, like, Kip, you were saying this is a coping mechanism. Not all coping mechanisms are bad.
No, they're not all bad. they're necessary, honestly, right? Like we all need, we do this.
We have secular alternatives too. Keep your chin up, keep looking up. Like
exactly.
No.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
No.
So, I'm pretty sure I texted a friend on New Year's Day and said, "Happy New Year. This year's going to be better than last year."
Citation
23 days in, I feel like that's already, yeah. Anyway, sorry. Anyways,
wah, wah.
Yeah, press play.
Yeah.
Bring up the Hall of Faith, right? So what's the whole entire point here? With the Hall of Faith, you experienced suffering and made moral and judgmental mistakes along the way. But what sets them apart is their unwavering faith. Their inclusion as a list isn't based upon having perfect performance or anything like that. The true example comes from what? The refusal to worship other gods or.
This is why a lot of evangelical Christianity insists on protecting abusive people. Because it doesn't matter what your past bad actions were, what moral and judgmental mistakes.
Yeah.
You have the right opinions in your head, and like you told us that you're going to still go to church and that you're really sorry, bro, won't do it again. So no accountability.
That's a good point. Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
It's very frustrating.
And in their belief in the face of adversity. And now this brings us back to this, Hebrews 11:1. Now, faith is the assurance of things hoped for, yada, yada, yada. I don't know if you guys can see this. I brought up the Greek here because this is the other thing to kind of bring up. That word for assurance uses the Greek word hypostasis. In other words, hypostasis. I'm sure you guys have heard that word before. And he's using this word to mean like the guarantee of. But interestingly, it's the same word that's used for confidence in Hebrews 3:14. So faith is the confidence. And even more interestingly, in Hebrews 1:3, when he says that Jesus is the exact imprint of God's very being, he's saying that Jesus is the very hypostasis of God. So what's going on here? Jesus is portrayed in Hebrews 1 and described as the precise imprint or exact representation of the reality of God. And that's the whole hypostasis thing going on here. So by using the same term in Hebrews 11:1, he's emphasizing that faith is the assurance of things hoped for, and the writer of Hebrews establishes a connection between the objective reality of Jesus as the embodiment of God and the confident trust that believers now have in the promises.
I mean, this is edging on a non sequitur from him, but the whole, was it the monograph that Dan McClellan wrote about divine images and how Jesus is a divine image that manifests the presence of like the Israelite God? Yeah, that completely tracks with how they would have thought about that at the time this was written. I'm just not seeing like his connection from that sort of like divine image model and system that was going on in the ground in the time to the opinions in your head and your confidence in things that you have no evidence for. I'm not making that leap.
It's a lot of like he's trying to make this term do a lot of work, and it does become like hypostasis becomes like a huge theological term later on among obviously the hypostasis of God, but also like I'm thinking of like Gnostic writing like the hypostasis of the archons or whatever. But it's just like two words, hupo meaning like under and stasis meaning standing, so it's standing under. So it's the sort of elementary, rudimentary, foundational things standing under. So in Hebrews 1, it talks about Jesus being the character of the hypostasis of God, I think is how it says it. And here it says faith is the hypostasis. So it's just the thing that stands under what we hope for. Faith is the hypostasis of the things that we hope for. So it's the foundation. It's the like undergirding kind of principle. So it's not. I'm trying to understand like what his I'm trying like I can't see a really I can't. I'm trying to see like if I look at how Hebrews 1 uses it and Hebrews 11 uses it, I can't really see that it's being used the same way. It's just the same word. I'm trying to do some exegesis on the spot here. Like the Christological claim at Hebrews 1:3 is very strong. It's saying that Christ is like the character of the hypostasis of God, but then faith is the hypostasis. So like what like it's not talking about God anymore. Faith is the hypostasis of things we don't see. It's like it's hard to do too much with that. I don't know.
Yeah.
And then 3. What did he say about 3?
It is
Hebrews 3.
Shall I proceed?
Yeah, sure. I'll look up Hebrews 3 while he keeps talking.
And it's because of what Jesus did, his claims to divinity, death, and resurrection, things that he's appealing to, by the way. These are the things that are evidence so that we can have confidence that's enduring. And he's saying that our faith is real because the object is real.
I know I'm breaking in again, but this is one of those things that Mr. Inspiring Philosophy should have interrupted him over, because claims aren't evidence. Jesus making appeals to this, that, and the other, saying, I'm this, blah, 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 blah. That's not evidence.
Okay, but if they accepted that claims aren't evidence, there would be no Christian apologetics. So
100%. Yeah,
no.
that's it. Right? That is it. Yeah.
Gary Habermas just erupted in flames wherever he is.
And he even appeals to evidence, right? Like you go through all the 11 chapters and you hit chapter 12, and what does he say? Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay.
In other words, this is an appeal to evidence. Salvation is about a belief. So evidence is an opinion in your head. Because that's what beliefs are. It's an opinion in your head.
It's the one important thing to understand about Hebrews is that it's very it's using the Platonic language of the forms and the shadows. And as you go through Hebrews, everything on earth is a shadow or a type or something of something happening in heaven. So Jesus, the great high priest, is doing the same thing that then he does in heaven, or I forget exactly how it works, but it's like the great high priest offered in the heavenly sanctuary. So it's just what is happening here? The law here is the shadow of the things, the things to come, right? Whatever. I should have some of my Sunday school teachers screaming at me I should have done a better job memorizing it all. But it's that dualism. So it's you're never going to get to the evidence of the second part. You kind of it's metaphysics, right? You kind of take it or leave it. Is there a high priest up there offering? I don't know, but that's what the author,
Jesus
that's
said
how
it one time. Remember, it was perfect that
once
time.
for all.
Keep doing it.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just one of these things, this idea that your thoughts in your brain, your opinions in your head floating between your neurons, that's evidence. It's really no wonder that Christianity continues to do thought crime like persecution, like the Inquisition. It's really not a surprise when you build your whole foundation on, well, you have the wrong opinion, therefore you're damned forever. It's really not a surprise.
Also aside every weight and sin which clings so closely, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the founder and perfecter of our faith.
So guys, just a real quick ad. Cloud of witnesses. So we don't believe this just blindly. We have, again, it's not a personal faith. This is a collective faith of the early Christian community. We're believing because we have all this evidence. We have these eyewitnesses that you can go talk to. This is the way the early church is thinking. They're not thinking the way Red and Alex are saying, where it's you just believe because you can feel it in your heart and your soul.
Isn't that appeal to popularity?
Also, he just named the cloud of witnesses. None of them are people they knew personally. I didn't know Abraham.
Right.
Those are the witnesses, I'm pretty sure.
Right. Those are the witnesses, the people they just
not saying,
about.
And by the way, there's also all these people who knew Jesus.
Yeah.
Any experience that you do have of the cloud of witnesses would be internal feelings and imaginations of so it's at the very least, if we're going to call this evidence,
I mean, a lot of people believe it, therefore there must be something true about it. Again, that's appeal to popularity. He should know this. This is first year philosophical logical fallacies. Bruh.
It's not.
What book says it? I forgot.
It's not to the level or the standard of the kind of scholarly rigor, scientific rigor, that our modern worldviews are, sort of, I hesitate to say based on, but I mean, it's just such a fundamentally different thing from what Red is talking about.
Looking at this it's rhetoric, it's a sermon, it's rhetoric. It's trying to pull out some historical narrative that you think is lying behind it it's really tough. I don't know.
I mean, how else are you going to make what Abraham did to Isaac sound like a good thing?
Yeah.
He knew that God could raise him from the dead. He trusted him so much. That's the kind of stuff you put in a sermon to encourage people.
Also, like, you notice what is not evidence here is like the author doesn't say like, oh, and don't forget all those people who hung out with Jesus and saw him resurrected and like put their hands on his side. It's like, no, let's go back to the Hebrew Bible. Like,
but again, I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think Mike and Than want to smuggle that in, right?
It's just not like it would be really easy to say, by the way, don't forget that Jesus ate fish with the disciples and we're surrounded by a cloud of witness. Like,
yeah. Like, come on. There's so much like tangible stuff that they could have appealed to, but they're just going for the abstract, and I'm like, ugh, man.
No, that's not really taught in the Bible. What's taught in the Bible is to believe because the witnesses that we have confirmed this happened. We know this is a real thing in the Bible is to believe. You can feel it in your.
I just noticed something on the slide. Sorry. The second bullet point down towards the bottom, it says we have assurance in our faith because it's grounded in the objective reality of God revealed to humanity through Jesus. It's rooted in the objective reality of the cross. Conversation, Jesus' death, burial, resurrection, ascension, blah, blah, blah. If you want to start talking about objective reality,
take it. You have to take these things for granted, right?
Right. I mean, from objective reality is that things die and stay dead. So
yes. Yep.
Hey, Rabbi Hannah, how's it going?
Oh, that's the other troublemaker.
That's why we hang out.
Oops. Sorry.
Oh, goodness.
Okay.
Heart and your soul. That's not really taught in the Bible. What's taught in the Bible is to believe because the witnesses that we have confirmed this happened. We know this is a real thing that did happen, and that is why we believe. This was not the way that it is sort of read through this existentialist, this modernist view that it's all just personal, and that's all. Yeah. That's all.
I was told that it's the Holy Spirit that leads you to the conviction.
That's what the author of Hebrews is saying. Right, the author of Hebrews is saying this. It's the cloud of witnesses are these things that are out there. You can't actually access them except through faith.
Right? This is also an important verse for like how we know Paul didn't write Hebrews because it's secondhand. It was attested to us by those who heard him because Paul thinks he got it firsthand. So this is somebody who's removed.
Wow.
Yeah, they heard it. Trust me, bro.
Right. Trust me, bro. Yeah. How do you know this stuff? It was revealed to me in a vision. Gah. Cat is mad. Member for 7 months rates. IP's downhill slide to slightly better Mike Winger. Continues apace.
I think it was Chrissy. Chrissy's got a super chat in there we haven't read yet either. But let's finish Hebrews 11 and we'll hit that before we get on to John chapter 20.
And I'll finish this part off with this. Why on earth would the writer of Hebrews, if you believe that faith is this thing that Rhett and Alex are trying to portray it as, why would he appeal? Why would he say something like this? How can we escape if we neglect so great a salvation? It was declared, appealing to testimony, at first through the Lord, and it was attested to us by those who had heard him, appealing to more testimony, while God added to his testimony by signs and wonders and various miracles and by gifts of the Holy Spirit distributed according to his will. This is all about, it's appealing to evidence.
It's very easy to pick
Nobody goes into Christianity based on evidence. They go in based on an inner feeling, which Lobar Bill calls the witness of the Holy Spirit.
Right, but let's talk about what the author of Hebrews is doing there. Can you just back it up to put the text back on the screen, Vish?
Yeah, let me scrub back a few.
God added his testimony by signs and wonders and various miracles and by gifts of the Holy Spirit. Like,
thank you, Apologia. Signs and wonders are the evidence in the scenario, not the testimony.
Yep.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like in a book talk, like I think Rhett and Alex are actually doing the Christian reading of this text. Like, this is actually the right way to read the text. It's very, very minimal on the whole evidence and signs and wonders and lots of the belief stuff that happened before. And like, it's a sermon. That's okay. I think so. I don't know. It's not like, to me, even if I were a Christian reading this, it's really misreading this to try to say this is all about evidence, which is the evidence is pretty light here.
I mean, at the end of the day, they're just really, really upset that Rhett's not a Christian anymore. and he's telling people why. They don't like that. Christianity, like the text has it baked in that, well, if you left us, you were never one of us to begin with. Take that, atheist.
Well,
this is just an outgrowth of that. Well, he couldn't have been a real believer, or you didn't have a real faith, or somebody taught you wrong, or you just didn't understand it correctly. Like, it's just cope.
If you watch the whole stream, and I cut a whole bunch out of this, there is a lot of whining and bitching in this stream about how much Mike and Than are not taken seriously. Their positions are not taken seriously because skeptics don't believe in miracles. Skeptics are skeptical of claims. Skeptics are, dubious about eyewitness testimony on its own. Like, these are the sorts of things, right? What they're upset that we're coming back to them and going, that's just not good enough. This is why it's coming out like this, right? It is an airing of grievances about how their shitty epistemology is not being adopted.
Well, if you look at the psychological profile of the Christian apologist, it's like when somebody leaves, despite the efforts of Christian apologetics, either my apologetics weren't good enough, my reasons weren't good enough, or they are just too stupid to understand or whatever. Which do you think is easier for a Christian apologist to believe?
It's not their fault.
Yeah.
It's the person who left. Remember, that's what the Bible says. It means you were never one of us. If you ever leave, you're not allowed to change your mind. You're not allowed to be
They went out from among
unconvinced
us because
ever.
they were not of us.
And if I were starting a religion, I would put in stuff like that. Once you're in, you're in. And if you ever leave, well, you just were never one of us to begin with. Checkmate.
Those verses are quoted to me every day in my
in your chat. Right.
Yeah. And it's like they get more angry because Rhett is out here saying, hey, here's what I went through. Here's my experience, which you can't argue with people's experience, right? They're angry that he's ruining the PR. And they'll get more angry about the PR being ruined than they will any abuse somebody may have suffered in a Christian community, about any sort of negative experiences or harmful theologies or any sort of things like that. They're just more angry that they're publicly ruining the PR. That's gross. So
Christianity would be a lot better served by looking inward instead of outward, which I think was the whole point of Rhett and Alex's video. But
well, Chrissy, for apologists can only shift term definitions. They have no recourse otherwise because they have to manipulate language to have any defensible position.
Yes, they do. Do you want to just skip it forward to the next part where Rhett is speaking? It should be very close.
Completely did not even open up your thing with the timestamps.
I actually I don't have a timestamp for this next one, unfortunately. I don't know why I don't, but it should be right there. I think there's only just a few more seconds of this, but
right here where it goes back to him. Okay.
Oh, it is 11
verse that really brings this to light, or passage really. So this is maybe my favorite passage just because it's so personal to me and my experience. So you got Jesus in John chapter 20.
Mm-hmm.
He has appeared to the disciples and he's shown them the holes in his hands and the hole in his side where he was pierced. And then of course Thomas said, I don't know what he's doing. He's not there.
Mm-hmm.
And then Thomas shows up later and they're like, we have seen the Lord. And he's like, okay, well, that might be good for you, but I need to see him. And I need to literally place my fingers in his hands. I need to place my hand in his side.
Mm-hmm.
And what does Jesus do? Well, he comes back a week later and he's like, okay, you want to do this? Here, touch my hand, touch my side. And there's a great painting, The Incredulity of St. Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
But interestingly, he's sticking his finger in the side, not his whole hand.
Yeah.
Missed opportunity.
It's not clear from the text. And this actually works really well with what I'm presuming you're going to say. It's not actually guaranteed by the text that Thomas ever actually touches Jesus. We only know that Jesus shows up and offers, come on then, touch me.
Right, because he kind of continues in that and says, stop doubting and believe.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, of course, he says, you have believed because you have seen. Blessed are those who believe who have not seen.
Yeah. The basic.
I love it when people read the text. That is such a good observation that you just assume that Thomas put his hand or finger, whatever, in there.
They're not going to like it very much, though.
Oh, of course not. But
They won't.
How many people would have their entire world rocked if you're like, hey, just read the story? Does Thomas actually touch him? Or do you just assume that he does?
I never noticed that either.
I know.
Right?
I didn't either.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
And that is such just a, like, hey, blink and you miss it. That's the kind of thing that it should theoretically enrich your reading of a text. What are you assuming about it that's not actually there?
Like he believes without actually having to do it, which is the point of the whole thing.
But I also, like, so many people focus on the fact that Jesus is like, yeah, sure, I'll pull up. That's not good enough today, obviously. But again, what would change about people's reading of this text if they went, oh shit, it doesn't actually say that he touched him. Wait a minute.
Their objections to this are interesting.
Tad is mad says, I recommended this video to my mom who's an Episcopal priest, and she replied, I've been saying this since my MDiv.
Perfect.
And hey, misinterpretations, I saw you earlier. Mind blown. I was this many years old when I realized Thomas never actually touched Jesus.
There we go, right?
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
There's a lot of, anyway,
Thank you.
I'm not going to say anything
Alice
about
O'Connor.
the physicality of Jesus in this case, because that would take us down a whole rabbit hole about eating fish and things like that. But it is a question. Yeah. Anyways, let's keep going. Let's not go down that distraction right now.
The point we pointed out is, again, Thomas is never asked to believe on no evidence. That's the basic point, because he had all these witnesses around him. There was the empty tomb. Like if my father had died, and then I walk into a room with all my family,
nobody mentioned the empty tomb to him. It wasn't even the word of his peers that he, I guess, would have spent all that time with wasn't good enough. He's like, nah, man, I got to see the dude. I need to, like, actually put my hands in his wounds.
I was going to say, Thomas was not asked to believe with no evidence, but the readers of John's gospel are. That's the whole point of the text. Blessed are you who have not seen and yet have believed. Again, like, this is some Roland Barthes death of the author shit to just be like, there's no author here. It's just, what is it saying to us? But like, if you actually look at what the author is trying to do with this, it's fairly obvious. Blessed are you who have not seen and yet
Jesus isn't going to appear to each one of you individually and tell you to put your hands in his wounds. So
like,
blessed are you who...
Yeah, Jesus ain't doing the rounds with his shirt up, kind of letting everybody have a poke there.
Is the what kind of a, like, if I remember correctly too, so yeah, the whole empty tomb thing is in it precedes this story of Thomas, and it's like what I'm just looking here at what it says, because the text here in John 20, Peter and the other disciple set out and went toward the tomb. The two were running together, and the other disciple outran Peter and reached the tomb first. He bent down and to look in and saw the linen wrappings lying there, but he did not go in. Then Simon Peter came following him and went into the tomb. He saw the linen wrappings lying there, and the cloth that had been on Jesus' head not lying with the linen wrappings, but rolled up in place by itself. Then the other disciple who reached the tomb first also went in, and he saw and believed, for as yet they did not understand the scripture that he must rise from the dead. Then the disciples returned to their homes. According to John, it was Peter and John, and was it just Peter and John of the disciples who saw the empty tomb? I think it's just the two of them.
Yeah,
isn't it? If you don't take the other gospel that says it was women that found it.
It's there's also there's some different theories about the ending of John and whether or not, like, which parts are original and added later and stuff. But I think I mentioned in my email to you, because I just did a video on this last week. So in 1 Corinthians 15, where Paul talks about Jesus appearing, the Greek word there, ophthe, is from the verb harao, which means he was seen. It's like an appearance, and it's a common way to refer to a visionary experience. So TLDR, when Paul says it and 500 people like witnessed him, it kind of sounds like he might be talking about visionary stuff. So there's sort of a question as you look at the resurrection narratives through all four gospels, is like, what are we actually seeing and what was added later, and what, you know, like how do they grow as they want to make it sound more and more like a physical resurrection, to add in stuff. So just so you're clear, Jesus came and ate fish, and just so you're clear, like Thomas was going to put his finger in it, so stuff like that. So it's kind of seeing them, I think, as a whole as to how the tradition evolved. Was that anything to do with what you were trying to talk about?
I think so.
Yeah.
No, it absolutely is. So there's a clear development, I think. You see it too. This is something that those of us who study the text carefully, closely, you know, at a graduate level, you start to see it more and more, that there is an obvious development, I think, into this idea of physical experiences with a risen Jesus. Yeah. So yeah. All right, maybe press play. Let's see what's.
Family members were there, and they're like, "Hey, your father rose from the dead." I'm like, "What? No, we all saw it. Go to the grave. The tomb is empty."
Might be,
my instinct
seriously,
would be like, "Well, I'm not
this
believing."
might be the worst example that Mike could think of to illustrate this point. I'm just saying. His father's died and rose from the dead. Is his reaction to this would be this, apparently.
Unless like he shows up and I just touched the wounds and killed him. No, my first instinct would be, let me go see this tomb. Is it really empty? And if I went and I saw that it was empty, I think in that situation I would believe. I don't.
Your first inclination wouldn't be he wasn't dead, someone took the body, none of that. Animals got to it, an earthquake happened and rolled the stone. Like none of that. You would just jump straight to, well, because he rose.
But also, Mike and Than, show me where Thomas does this. We're talking about Thomas. Where did Thomas go to see the empty tomb?
Good grief.
See a reason.
And they're in the house with the door shut.
I'm not going to have the intellectual, naturally.
Yeah, sorry. I was just, well, there's a lot of mysterious, miraculous things around. They're in the house with the door shut and Jesus shows up. You know, there's, I think it's in the next chapter. That's the famous teleportation that John 21, I think it's in John 21, or no, maybe I'm too far forward. I'm in the wrong spot. Anyway, there's another place in John where Jesus famously like teleports, like he gets in the boat and all of a sudden they're at shore. That's not John 21. Sorry. But yeah, anyway, point being, there's still some weird kind of supernatural stuff happening here. It's not just like they're hanging out with them.
Hubris to be like, well, that doesn't happen. Bart Ehrman's line, well, the miracles are always the least probable, so I got to go with something more probable, you know, just from presupposition.
Thomas actually.
Let's mock stupid Bart Ehrman for not believing in miracles.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
What an idiot.
Or what does he know?
He's such a dummy.
He doesn't inspire philosophy.
Really
They fuck this up all the time though too, because I know Bart has gone on a lot of public platforms to say, you know, the miracle claims are always the least likely. When you're examining history, that's not the first place you go to. But it's not that they always mess this up. It's not that miracles are impossible, therefore we must figure out any other explanation to this. It's not that. It's there needs to be better evidence than what we have here before I'm going to accept that this was a miracle. Those are different things.
How to do this? Because if you go up and tell them, "Hey, listen, I served the Lord Krishna who drank poison and it turned his skin blue," these texts say so, and millions of people believe it. Suddenly, their standards go way up for miracles.
Oh, I mean, as we'll discover with Mike and Than, they're just ready to accept everything that anybody claims.
Do we have the clip of him talking about the Marian apparitions? Are we going there?
We're getting
okay.
So.
Yeah, okay. I won't go there yet. Then,
okay.
Okay.
That's empiricism and observation. To say, "Blessed are those who believe without seeing." When I ask Christians about this, and I say, "Look, what's Jesus saying here? Is he saying that you're supposed to believe without evidence?" They say typically, "No. It's more that Jesus thought that Thomas already had enough evidence based on the witness of the disciples.
Well, yeah.
Like, blessed are those who could believe based on that amount of evidence, even if that's the case."
Trust me, bro. Should have been good enough for you. Come on now. Arrow Dodger for 5 says, these guys say they believe in a resurrection claim like they believe the claim that Rama created the land bridge between India and Sri Lanka. Seriously. Arrow Dodger and I are on the same page. Good grief.
Ace, we're still talking about sort of belief in something which you have not directly observed for yourself, but rather heard through essentially a kind of authority. That is the authority of like trustworthy friendship, which is much more in keeping with the sort of traditional view of authority than this Enlightenment scientific approach.
The other thing to add to this, that's where most of our beliefs come from.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever seen the Large Hadron Collider in the chat right now? No, we go on the authority that it's actually there. We're not being fooled by photos.
This is as bad as young Earth creationists saying, well, did you see evolution happen? Were you there?
Have you ever
millions
seen
and millions of years ago? Have you ever seen a crocoduck? No one's ever seen a dog produce a non-dog. That is the exact same level of just brain dead crap. My goodness.
All knowledge claims are the same.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And like, even if it's a really good friend of yours, like Kip's known me for several years. We've attended, SBL. If I told Kip right now, hey, Kip, I hear the voice of David Lynch and he tells me the mysteries of the universe. Do you think he would take that just based on our friendship?
But because I know Vish really well, I would actually believe that she thinks she hears the voice of David Lynch.
It depends on how high I am, right?
But your follow-up conversation would probably not be, well, listen to whatever he says, right?
Exactly. And he told me that you should send me $2,000 as a seed gift.
I'm looking. Okay, I think maybe. Do you want to?
Where's the timestamp? It's in the 20s.
So it's somewhere. the next one is in the 20s. I'm
22.
worried I missed the 1 Corinthians timestamp. Maybe we just don't have time for 1 Corinthians. It's possible.
It is. Oh, it looks like we may have already passed it. Because it was
I
in
don't
the
think
11s.
so. No, it should be next.
Are you sure?
But
Okay.
yep.
You just keep going.
Yes, Photoshop and AI. We have no reason to doubt the testimony. Are we also going to doubt the results? How do we know they're not making it up? They're just programming it to do what they want. We have good reason to trust them.
Were you there to watch your parents conceive, Alex?
This is so
pretty
Ew!
But I have really good evidence that it happened.
You have no other reason
because I'm
right.
right.
Exactly.
Your parents.
Just the knowledge,
Nobody
just
wants
the
to
fact. Also, just the fact that we have access to tools to confirm this, like with 100% certainty. Like, if I had any doubts about this, I could figure it out. Like, I could get there.
That's where you do your ancestry profile and find out.
That's right.
But do we trust?
Which
Well,
Fish
also,
does, by the way.
practically.
Say again?
I said which Fish does, by the way. Everybody.
I do. I am a professional genealogist. Yep.
She is a genealogist.
Speaking, we don't do this thing they say we need to do for Jesus, which is go and observe things for ourselves. We'll read an article on the evidence for evolution and we'll just trust the scientists that actually done the work. So if that's the way we accept beliefs now, what is the problem here in terms of doing something very, very similar? Because unless you were actually going and doing all the research yourself, when you go to the doctor and he says, take this drug, it'll get you better. Do you need to do the experiments yourself? No, you trust him. That's the way it tends.
Well, if you're an anti-vaxxer.
I was going to say, like, these guys don't trust biblical scholars. They don't trust.
That's true.
Who do you trust that knows what they're talking about? You couldn't be bothered to learn the languages, to read these in their original languages. Like, who are you trusting?
They're over here shitting on Bart Ehrman, who literally has been doing this almost his entire adult life. And they're like, what does Bart Ehrman know?
Probably
Would
longer
you just trust your doctor?
Stupid Bart Ehrman with his Greek and his education.
I don't know about Mike, but certainly longer than Than has been alive. I'm quite sure Bart has been doing this.
Do you think that they realize that the comparison falls apart?
No.
No, they have no idea.
B. Most of your beliefs are going to come from
Cognitive
testimony.
dissonance.
You just don't realize it.
Yeah, but
Into
it's different when it's miracles, Mike. Duh.
Okay.
Yes.
And again, when someone tells you that a medicine works, you can, if you want to, go replicate the tests that show that that drug works. That's what science is. You can't replicate miracles, Michael.
That was Than.
And Than. The both of you. This is so frustrating.
Well, if we, it's different because we assume naturalism is true, so we say miracles are the least probable. So no matter what the evidence
do we
shows,
assume naturalism is true, or do we have only evidence to confirm naturalism? Do we have any evidence for supernaturalism? No?
See,
weird.
Even if I did, I would still assume naturalism is true, I think.
Exactly, right? Like I would prefer to say my starting point is to work with the tools that I have available to me, right? Which ultimately leads me to naturalistic explanations ahead of I haven't exhausted any. Let's put it this way. I have yet to exhaust any of the naturalistic explanations for things that I don't understand. So I'm not even there yet.
You also need naturalistic expectations to have miracles, because things need to happen systematically before something can break the mold and be a miracle.
Yes.
So,
Exactly.
Yep.
What's the saying? You got to know the rules are before you break them.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Every good writer.
because we cannot assume a miracle because we know that's the least probable. And why do we know it's the least probable? Because we know naturalism is true. And if we know naturalism is true, we know miracles are the least probable. And so all the evidence, it's a circular.
He's really trying to make this a circular argument. My guy.
Got to believe
You really
naturalism's
need a
true to believe
mirror, but-
miracles. I'll die on that
The
hill.
way that he's saying this, does he think that miracles aren't the least likely explanation? Like, by definition? It's weird. Like it's almost like he doesn't understand what a miracle is.
Simone writes, as someone with a fairly good education in philosophy, why do we need to assume anything on a philosophical level?
Logic going on right there. The same thing.
Account the experience of almost everyone who's ever responded to the gospel.
Yeah.
I think we talked a little bit about this last time as well, but it has only until a very recent point in history, if I were to share the gospel with you and tell you about the risen Jesus, would you have said, well, let me see if I can verify if that's true?
Mhm.
Because you wouldn't have had any tools to verify that was true.
Yeah.
Like there was no scholarship on that anyone had access to. So if that's such an important part, like reasoning your way to that is such an important part of the process, then why is it that those tools have never been made available until very recently? And by the way, now that the apologetics tools are available, the small minority of Christians take advantage of it. Like think about I saw a lot of people come to know Jesus during my time in ministry, and I never, not once after sharing the gospel, did I have someone say, do you have any way to prove that that's true? Can we is there something I can read to know that the Bible is true?
Remember earlier in the stream when I was like, no one comes to Christianity based on evidence. They all come to it based on the feeling. Again, that's what Lobar Bill calls the inner witness of the Holy Spirit. That's why he says, if there's just one chance in 1,000, I lower my expectations and my standards. It's all about the feeling you get on the inside.
Feeling. I think, is it Mormons have, they call it burning in the bosom or something? I
Yeah.
think it's actually, that's a really
Burning the
good
bosom.
word for it. Yeah, that's like the good word for it. The feels.
Yep, the feels. Tata's mad for 5. Now that Bart is retired from teaching, do you think they'll move on to someone else, or is he apologetics? Bart still teaches. He's just not doing it at UNC. Like he still has seminars, and he gives he's making stuff online. So it's not like he isn't very knowledge anymore. He's just not teaching as a faculty position. So I seriously doubt he'll ever reach a point where he's not educating people.
So I think I move that we jump ahead to the 1 Corinthians stuff, which is I've got a timestamp for you here, Vish. 1752.
Okay. All right.
Can we say
We're
30
literally
seconds
50
on the...
seconds away.
Oh, okay.
On which one?
I just
We're
wanted to talk about
17.
the Marian apparitions because I thought it was really
that's do you want to do that?
Yeah,
Is that
first?
later?
We could
Okay,
go
no, it doesn't
there
matter. I
first and-
wanted
okay.
to say some stuff about it. But...
I do.
Okay,
I've
tell you what.
got. We'll make sure we get there.
Okay.
I'll promise that.
here's the. I'm going to the 50s. Here we go.
Apologetics. So you got 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 18. For the word of the cross is folly to those who are perishing, but to us who are being saved, it is the power of God. And in other translations, it says foolishness, right? And then he expands on this at the top of chapter 2, where he says, and when I came to you, brothers, I did not come proclaiming to you the testimony of God with lofty speech or wisdom, for I decided to know nothing among you except Jesus Christ and him crucified. And I was with you in weakness and in fear and much trembling, and my speech and my message were not in plausible words of wisdom, but in demonstration of the Spirit and of power, that your faith might not rest in the wisdom of men, but in the power of God.
I just quoted that earlier.
You sure did.
Mm-mm-mm.
We talked about
Telling you.
these texts a few weeks ago as well, when we talked about crucifixion.
Oh.
This is not
Amen.
a plausible argument that you're trying to make. And again, the reason I think this is so important from a Christian perspective is that when you tell somebody like me that the resurrection has incredible evidence, that is the most well-attested event in the ancient world, and then you look at what the
all right, so let's talk about 1 Corinthians 2. Again, we have this idea of this just quote mining, taking those verses. Let's not forget that Paul ends this with 1 Corinthians 15, that our faith is in vain if Jesus did not rise from the dead. He really did rise from the dead, and the reason we know is because he...
So what you're telling me is you're incentivized to believe it?
It's just not a good reading of 1 Corinthians 15 either. There's pretty common... It's just like Bible scholars are split over whether Paul believed in a physical resurrection or not. But
talk to us about that.
1 Corinthians 15 does. Yeah, so 1 Corinthians 15 talks about like the fleshly body and the spiritual body. And Paul clearly doesn't like the fleshly body very much and clearly really likes spiritual bodies. And like it kind of sounds like that's what he's thinking when it's like I invite everybody to go read it closely and say, like, does Paul think Jesus walked out of a tomb and ate fish with people? It's really hard to get there from 1 Corinthians 15. So it's like, when you start to, again, not like putting the author back into the text here and trying to understand what each author thinks about the resurrection, you see that Paul doesn't necessarily think the same thing as the gospel authors as to like what happened. So it's just, Paul doesn't like bodies, doesn't like physical stuff. Spiritual stuff's better. There it is. Yeah.
Much better.
So
and there's a whole argument that he's building towards that you're getting at here, right towards the end of 1 Corinthians 15, where he talks about
do you recognize Greek letters enough to be able to highlight a couple words for me there? Ophthe. It's I'm actually verse after verse 5, like the third word in looks omega. Yeah. So that word, if you look at that word, that's the word that pops up again and again. And that's the way you look in the Septuagint. It's what Solomon has a dream at night, and it's an ophthe, it's an appearance, it's a vision, like it's a passive meaning, like he appeared. So when it says that he appeared to Cephas and he appeared to 500 and he appeared to James, and then he says last he appeared to me, like this sounds like you're talking about the same experience everybody has. It doesn't sound like Paul's saying he hung out with 500 people and then later he appeared to me in a vision. It's like, no, the same thing happened to them that happened to me. And then he goes on for the rest of the, like, if you look at 15:12 there, now if Christ is proclaimed as raised from the dead, how can some of you say there is no resurrection of the dead? But like, it's just like, I'm not denying that Paul doesn't believe in a resurrection of the dead, but I'm saying I don't think he believed Jesus walked out of a tomb. Like he thinks Jesus is in heaven, like, which is a miracle, by the way. Like if I saw somebody in a vision post their death, that would be a miracle too. And I think that's what Paul believes he saw.
So when I have talked about this text before, something that I've keyed in on with it is this part of it. If Christ is proclaimed as raised from the dead, how can some of you say there is no resurrection of the dead? If there is no resurrection of the dead, then Christ has not been raised, and our proclamation is in vain. He goes on to this whole, it's this whole thing about how Christ is raised, therefore you can have confidence in your own resurrection. So I often go back then to his statement about the 500, right? Where is that? Verse 6, verse 5, he says, he appeared to Cephas, then to the 12, then he appeared to more than 500 brothers and sisters at one time, most of whom are still alive, though some have died. And I'm looking at that and factoring that into what his argument that follows is it often sounds to me like some of those people who actually saw Jesus in the flesh are dead now, which is probably why some of you are, you know, starting to wonder if this resurrection of the body thing is actually going to happen.
Does he
Calm
say
down.
that
Relax.
Jesus appeared to 500 people in the flesh, or just that he appeared to them?
Just that he appeared to them. And honestly, I don't know. Does like Paul doesn't? And this is something I need to go back and look at, especially in some of the stuff that I've done with mythicism. But I don't know that Paul uses in the flesh in that way, as if like this is.
I don't. Yeah, not to refer to the resurrection.
No, or to distinguish things that that have happened on like in real time. I don't think it's more of the things that are corruptible is things that happen in the flesh, right? As opposed to,
I think
always
I know
almost
what
with
you're
this
saying.
with when he uses that term, it's I believe, and I could be wrong about this and I need to check on this, but I think when he uses that term in the flesh, it's always in contrast to what happens in the spirit. I think that's a better way of I think that's right.
That I think you are probably also right, but I'm not confident enough to say it's every time, but you might be right. Yeah,
me
yeah, I'd
neither.
have to go look it up.
That's my sense. I would have to go look it up too, so don't quote me on that. But so even I just wouldn't expect him to say something like that. Here is what I'm saying. So but I mean, to your point, Vish, I think which is the point that CJ made as well, that this isn't necessarily a body that people are interacting with, right? The resurrection isn't, the physical body of Jesus.
Even in the Gospels, like I made this point in the video. People can watch the video if they want to, but in Mark, go like he's not here, he's raised. Like go tell, what does he say? Go tell the disciples he will go before them and into Galilee or something. Like, and then in Matthew, it's like they're on the mountain and they see Jesus, but some of them doubted. Like, why are they doubting if Jesus is there having a picnic with them? Like, if somebody came and was sitting with me, I wouldn't be doubting, So it's just, you start to read these things carefully and you kind of, I think the first generation of Christians thought that Jesus was raised to be with God. And I think that was okay with them. Like that was still, in a sense, a miracle. And it's the same. I mean, it's not unique to Christianity. I mentioned, I'm recording with Richard C. Miller tomorrow. So he's got a book, Resurrection and Reception and Antiquity. And he has tons of these stories of people being raised and Caesar's being raised and like Romulus being raised. Like these are all the signs and portents that go along with the fact that somebody has been divinized and been elevated. So I think this is what they're pulling on. They're pulling on this kind of stuff. Even Philo is another ancient biography, the life of Moses. And Philo doesn't think Moses died. Philo thinks Moses was translated to heaven in some way. So it's like, it's just common stuff. It's not like, to us, it's unique, but for ancient readers, this is not outside of the realm of what, for those who could read, what they'd be used to reading.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, the letters and the epistles get really fuzzy on physical versus spiritual, physical body, spiritual body. What's the difference between the two? Can they have sex? Can they have food? What do they do? What do they not do? Like, I feel like these are being negotiated along the way, and there's not a consistent idea of 100%, what that entails. So.
And it, like, if you look at those streams that go into like quote unquote Gnosticism, like their idea that the body is evil didn't come from nowhere. Like it's all from this kind of stuff. It's actually a pretty good conclusion.
I don't
if you
think
read this kind of stuff.
I don't think Paul is uncomfortable with that idea. The way that he talks about, the physical body and the way that you have sexual desires. I don't think that would be uncomfortable with that at all.
Yeah. And then the grounding actually comes later. I'll just say one thing on this, but like, if you go look at like the pastorals, like these are like later forgeries, they start to ground this back into a reality of like what the nuts and bolts of our practice look like. But there's like like in terms of what Paul is actually teaching, there's a fascinating school, but it doesn't get talked about much anymore. But it's called the History of Religion School out of Germany about 100 years ago, and Paul's just starting a mystery cult. Like he's just starting same thing that's happening in a lot of other mystery cults. I'm not like this is controversial, and there's a lot of literature about this, but you can see how they could get there too. Anyway.
Yeah. I suspect that Theosophy pulled heavily from that.
Yeah, probably.
Because they're all about like the Christ consciousness, and it's an archetype that anybody can access spiritually if you just know the right like secret literature.
What's Theosophy? So. Look it up. Sorry, you can.
Oh, like, brother,
18th, 19th
Helena
Blavatsky.
Blavatsky.
Yeah.
Wait, it is like
19th century.
Imagine a woman who is so racist and anti-Semitic, but she really, really, really loves spiritual woo-woo. That she just goes off the rails and starts compiling a whole bunch of disparate traditions and ideas and philosophies and archetypes and goes, I figured it out, y'all. It's a whole thing. Have fun with that. It's a rabbit hole and you're probably going to lose sanity points, but you know, it's a thing.
How did I do a religious studies degree? I never heard of this. This is awesome.
I don't know. I'm actually kind of surprised.
I have it bookmarked. Let's move on.
Okay. All right.
Rose and appeared to all these witnesses. That's how he starts the chapter. So what is going on here? Well, I mean, the context is not about believing that this is an historical event and we have the evidence. This is about the message of the atonement. It's foolish to people outside because the culture of the time mocked the idea that God would die on a cross in such a shameful way. That's the context of what's going on. It does seem foolish to the outside world that God needs to come and be human and die for our sins.
Yep.
That's not that's attacking the message itself.
Not that God would die for our sins, though.
What?
Well, I'm actually on board with that.
Physical forms up until like late in the Hellenistic era. What are you doing?
Well,
what was that, CJ?
Well, I do think the crucifixion was embarrassing and all that sort of thing. Like, there's a pretty good explanation to be made for that. But he just said that it's embarrassing that Jesus had to die for our sins or something, and that's not what's embarrassing about it. It's embarrassing that your Messiah is crucified, probably naked on a Roman cross. Like, that's what's embarrassing.
And left there.
Not that Jesus had to die for our sins. Yeah.
See, yes, and this is thank you, Vish, and left there. Because this is what we were talking about a few weeks ago, with Paul's view on the crucifixion. Galatians 3. This is like my new favorite hobby horse now. In Galatians 3:13, right? Paul cites Deuteronomy 21:22-23. Which says, cursed is a man who hangs on a tree, which is why the rule is in place that you can't leave a body on a tree, a dead body on a tree suspended overnight. Otherwise, it's going to curse the land. Paul then says, Christ became the curse for us, citing that text. I got this from Gunnar Samuelson's study on the crucifixion, where he says it appears that it was not important for Paul that Jesus died on a stauros, a stake or a cross. I'm not entirely sure of that part. I would challenge that, I think. But he then says, if this view is correct, Paul's point of view in Galatians 3:13 is that Jesus could have been stoned before the suspension and then suspended on wood post-mortem. He would be a curse anyhow. Beyond the text of Paul, also the temple scroll links Deuteronomy 21:22-23 to an executionary suspension. From a Jewish point of view, it is not so important whether the condemned were dead or alive when suspended or in what way they were suspended. A suspended, decaying body in the countryside would defile the land anyways. Paul follows this Jewish view when he connects Deuteronomy 21:22-23 with the execution of Jesus. The point being, it's the fact that the body's still up there, for a while.
Mm-hmm.
That's
when you
defiling
die,
the land.
Back in the ground. You're supposed to get proper
sort of seems to me like Paul maybe thinks that the body was just left there.
Oh, I thought you were saying he maybe thinks Jesus was stoned. I was like, what?
No, that's not the part that I
got you.
Okay. Yeah. No.
Okay.
It's the connection of Deuteronomy 21:22 to 23 with this idea of Jesus becoming the curse for us.
And that the Gospels go a little too hard going.
Right.
They took his body down before sunset, guys. They took it down like as soon as they knew he was dead. He was off there.
As soon as
in a new tomb that had never been occupied by anybody else. You can kind of hear them trying to like.
It's trying a little too hard, so I think that
trying pretty
you
hard.
can make you could make a solid case.
So
that's interesting. Yeah,
I think so. So that's my new thing.
I don't know. I think if you read too much into it, though, you'll risk becoming an apologist for this. I don't know.
I mean, that's possible, but
it's a tough reading. You need to find some other ancient sources. I'll be there to debate you.
Man,
you'll be there to set me straight.
I find it ironic that there's this potential of people who are in critical scholarship, who read the text with a critical eye, who are familiar with literary tropes and familiar with, Jewish theology and things like that, who through the critical reading might actually get back to what the author intended after, however many centuries of people going, no, it didn't mean this, it didn't mean that, and then just taking all this stuff for granted. And I find that ironic, but that's why we study it. That's why we read it. There's a lot going on.
Yep. All right. So I'm looking at the time here, and I'm wondering if we should just skip forward to the the Marian stuff.
I really do want to get to that too.
So 22. I've got it on the. Do you have the document open? You know where you're going?
Yeah. I just looked at it. Okay.
All right.
Let's go.
Paul's doing here.
You can choose to believe it is an explanation of the beginning of the church, but there are natural explanations that can explain everything that we know about the church. And of course, they're more plausible from a just reason and logic standpoint. And if you think about any other religious claim, I always find it really interesting the way Protestants don't give any time to the Marian apparitions, right? When I was a Christian,
I know tons of Protestants that give credence to the Marian apparitions and even Eucharistic miracles.
And by the way, I love one of their favorite cases to go to.
Really? Who are they? The whole idea of Protestantism was to get away from all.
I'm not representative of all Protestants, but nevertheless, I spent my entire life in multiple denominations, many churches around the world, also nonstop engagement with Protestant media. And I don't remember ever hearing anybody give the slightest bit of interest to the Marian apparitions. Like, yeah, we know it's bullshit. Like, no.
Yeah, I know. We need
use your critical thinking, Catholics.
In the chat, can you tell us what the Episcopalians and the Anglicans and the High Church Protestants think about all that? Because they might, Lutherans,
maybe.
They might give some weight to it, but the
High Church Anglicans are a bunch of liberals, so I don't know about them either.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know if there's maybe there's some high church people in the chat. If there are, let us know if you put a great deal of stock in the Marian apparitions. But you know who I think does, which Protestants actually do put a lot of stock into it, are
the Greek Orthodox Protestants. Sorry, go
ahead. Wow, my head just exploded.
Sorry, continue.
I think it's I cut that part out of the video where I think I did where no maybe I didn't. I think maybe it's in here. It seems to me the ones who really do put a lot of stock into it are the ones who are doing apologetics on YouTube. Right? I think for
just
reasons
so they can perform that they've taken it seriously and
yeah.
We
probably not
do, guys.
true,
We're
yeah.
I don't know.
We're interested in real evidence.
Yeah. Or maybe this just demonstrates that you guys are as credulous as I thought you were in the first place. I think that option is on the table. So
okay, well let me see where they're going with this.
Miracles.
Yeah. Basically kind of a Baptist, like a non-denominational Baptist. I heard about these Marian apparitions that had happened throughout history, some very recently and some very well attested.
Some with newspaper, you can read press interviews.
Is that the one in Zaytun
with people who were there? I think so. Yeah, there's one in particular that I'm thinking of, but I can't remember where it was.
It was there was 3 years that it kept happening. Someplace.
And groups would show up, and you'd have newspaper reporters, and they'd all claim to tell you exactly what they'd seen, and even with those first-hand written accounts,
Yeah.
Protestants are like,
well, and it's not that Protestants examine.
See, there's one. There's a Christian apologist.
There's one
chiming in.
There you go.
I was next door neighbors to a lady who had a pretty serious form of cancer, and she was devoutly Catholic. She went to the Caritas that was near, where we lived. She went to Lourdes to get healed. And I'm sorry to say that she eventually succumbed to cancer. So when I say devout, you don't just casually fly to Europe to get healed from like a place where a Marian apparition was seen. She was very devout. And if anybody was going to have any kind of effect, it would probably have been her. So when Testify is saying, I accept every healing miracle, why didn't she get healed?
Hers or not hers? Oh yeah, I guess she didn't get healed. So, but yeah.
Wow. But every I went to church with some wild people for a while, and like even they said stuff, and we were all just like, I remember one lady telling me about this famous airport church in Toronto, but she was talking about how there was gold dust falling from the ceiling in their services, and somebody took it to a jeweler, and the jeweler was like, I've never seen gold this quality before. It's 100%. I was a committed evangelical Christian. I was like, yeah, I want some of what you're smoking. I don't know. Like, must be the Holy Spirit. That's ridiculous.
But isn't part of the point here too?
The adrenaline and the placebo effect of like right after you experience a healing, like either event or go to a place and things where you'll actually be okay for a while, but then your body's like, oh right, and it just goes right back. So
yes, yeah.
Isn't part of the point that Rhett and Alex are making here too, though, is that we've got these miracle claims with like thousands, hundreds of thousands of testimonies to their veracity. We even have so-called evidence through like photographs and people produce things to promote their legitimacy well beyond the quality of any kind of attestation that we have for the resurrection of Jesus. The quality far outstrips what we've got for that, and yet there are tons of people, tons of Christians who are like, nope, but I'm willing to accept this.
I think that's the really good thing. Like, I think Rhett makes a really valuable point here, and it's not just about the Marian apparitions. It's that like every single person is capable of turning their critical thinking skills against somebody else's miracle at some point. Like, it might not be the Catholics, it might be the Muslims, it might be Joseph Smith. Like, all of us are going to look at somebody else's miracle story and say, yeah, like that's bullshit, and then give ours the benefit. You know, like that's
I worked at a Southern Baptist church for like 12 years, and I spent a lot of time hanging out. It was a very like not your average Southern Baptist church. It was a mega church, so it had a lot more like diverse flavor than you would think of like some old country church with a fire brimstone preacher. But I did spend a lot of time with like the Pentecostals and Charismatics that would come in and out of there quite a bit, and there was a weird like friendliness towards that community at the place where I worked, which is fine with me. I mean, people not treating each other like dirt is always preferable. But yeah, it's like I've been to these like healing events before, and I've seen people absolutely shit all over Marian apparitions and say like that's idolatry. They're seeing, demonic deception and all this other stuff. Yeah. And then they'll go to this like, healing center out in the country with a bunch of their like charismatic friends, and they'll pray and speak in tongues over you and anoint you and absolutely believe that there's healing events going on there.
Yeah.
But people going to like Lourdes to get healed, they'll be like, no, that's crap. That's a deception. But we have to like anoint you and pray over you and speak in tongues and like anoint you with oil and do all this other stuff, and that'll heal you for sure. But that over there, that's fake.
I think I could hand a Protestant a text from antiquity that was written by the same, similar people who wrote the New Testament with the miracle and say, did this happen? And they would say, yeah, I don't know. Like, it has very little to do with understanding how to assess the credibility of things and everything to do with believing we have to be faithful to the text first.
Yeah, I mean, but also it's a weirdly mystical flavor of Protestantism that you get in the charismatic and the Pentecostal circles, because they believe in divine visions and prophetic dreams and healing miracles and like spiritual warfare, and they believe in all of this prophecy and apostles, and yet it's only in their particular circles that that's an approved expression of the supernatural. You go to Catholic expressions of the supernatural and that's not okay, right? Or you go into an Orthodox church and you see icons and like very like high church liturgical things and like, no, that's all bad. So it really just, it feels more just like identity and boundary maintenance and people shoring up there like, this is who we are and we have the thing.
Yeah.
But
I'll believe the miracle if my community says I should.
Yeah, and mysticism, I say it's mysticism flavored because they would not call it mysticism at all.
I think you could say mystical,
people that,
maybe.
It might be mystical, but like there are some charismatic and Pentecostal communities that do engage in mysticism, like soothsaying. They don't call it that. People receive a prophetic word and they'll speak the prophetic word to you. They don't call that soothsaying. That's not soothsaying. They don't call their prophetic dreams, clairvoyance or anything like that. But they will do gematria, which I find very bizarre.
Right?
Yeah, they'll do some of these things that are almost entirely found in mystic traditions and mystic circles, but they will not call it that because what you call it is more important than what it is. If you talk about anointing somebody's house with oil because you felt a demonic presence and it was causing me to lose sleep, that's not magic. That's not sympathetic magic. That's not witchcraft. Don't you call it that. We're praying the blessing of the Lord through this holy anointed oil, and we're trusting by faith, not by our power, but by your spirit, God. You cast out these demons. Like that's how it is. They don't see conflict there. So
let's watch a little bit more.
Witchcraft. Yeah, I'm trying to find the comment. Yeah, it's some of it does function a little closer to sympathetic magic or witchcraft and mysticism, but do not call it that. They will get so mad. They will get so mad. Witchcraft is evil. It's of the devil. We're trusting the Holy Spirit. So, shall we continue?
Yes.
Sorry for that tangent.
I'm in those and then say they're not true. They don't even give them the time of day. In that moment where you're just missing that Catholic belief, you are resting on human reason because you're like, you may not articulate this, but what you're saying is that, well, there's obviously a natural explanation for this.
Went on. I would not say you're using reason there. I would say you're using circular reasoning. You're basically going like, well, it doesn't fit my worldview, therefore I'm just going to dismiss it. That's not reasoning, guys. They're kind of telling on themselves here a little bit. That's not the response you should have. The response you shouldn't have is that's not using your reasoning. Oh, there's obviously a natural explanation. You should be discouraging that. You should be saying, no, you should investigate these things.Maybe they are true. You should really look into it. We would never tell you to do what they just told you. We would tell you to do the opposite. Actually investigate these things.
And even you know about this rainbow body stuff?
Rainbow body.
So this is fascinating. Dale Allison talks about this. I had never heard about it, but
wait, I have heard of this. Wait, tell me about this.
It's in Tibetan Buddhism.
Yeah.
And there is this idea that if you are a very enlightened individual, like fully realized, I guess like Dalai Lama level, that when you die, your body transforms into light directly. And so what they observe is that the body gets smaller and smaller. And I think they call it rainbow body because you'll see a rainbow, like wherever they're entombed or whatever, there's like a rainbow that's coming out of it as they transform into light.
Yeah.
And the only thing left is a lot of times hair, teeth, and fingernails.
Hey, Than, do you know of any friends that may have looked into rainbow bodies that may have like 50 or 30-minute videos that have gone into this that they put up 3 years ago?
I do. Eric, if you're still in the chat, remind me if you have a video on this, but I know for sure Lady in the Guru.
She sure does.
Yeah.
Lord Jesus help.
Do you have anybody who has debunked this idea that I don't like so that we can get back to talking about the idea that I do like?
That's right. Yes.
Hey, Kip, can you remind me what Lydia's degree's in?
English.
Okay.
English.
Yeah.
There's one.
Composition.
She's
She has a
got
few.
Now, this is not me saying, oh, well, you can't do work outside your field. Yeah, you absolutely can. You absolutely can. Okay. Chrissy
But-
Hansen has a degree that isn't biblical studies or whatever and regularly gets published in critical biblical journals. You can do work outside your field.
Mhm.
Okay. And it's peer reviewed. But when you start appealing to someone who almost never makes videos that are in her field and then doesn't support her assertions.
Almost, I would say never makes any kind of content or writes anything within
It's
her
a
own
little-
field.
It's a little suspicious.
The other thing here too is I am always you know, I guess I'm a little skeptical that that Lydia has in the first place the requisite training to properly investigate this kind of stuff. I wouldn't claim to know anything about it, but when somebody is as you said, CJ, when somebody is determined to debunk this thing that I don't like in order to promote this other idea that I do, you know, I don't know. I think some questions deserve, you know, it's worthwhile to ask some questions about the quality of that sort of research. So I haven't seen I do kind of want to go watch Lydia's videos.
I'm just curious because, like, when you do work outside your field, you usually spend a lot of time getting familiar with the methodology in the field that you want to publish in. And from what I've seen of Dr. Lydia McGrew's work in, like, related to the Bible, the methodology is severely lacking.
Yeah.
So that's why I get really suspicious and critical of stuff when people are like, oh, I'm going to talk about Lydia McGrew. It's like, okay, but there's a reason, for instance, Chrissy Hansen gets published in biblical journals and Lydia McGrew doesn't.
People keep asking me to respond to the undesigned coincidence stuff, and I really don't want to.
You don't have to.
It's
not really worth your time.
It's so exhausting. It's so
tiring.
I mean, I think the reason it should be simple, right? I mean, honestly, it's the it's the simplest response. Like all these guys knew each other. And when I'm talking about these guys who knew each other, it's like, you know, everybody was cribbing Mark, and then, you know, the other gospels were in circulation, and they're all kind of riffing off of each, or but less.
You can't you can't tell the difference between a literary undesigned coincidence and a eyewitness.
No, not at all.
Coincidence.
Yes.
Yeah. Jonathan
Yes.
McClatchy
And-
was asking me again to respond to it
No.
in one of my comments, and I was like, Harry Potter fan fiction would have undesigned coincidences. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
100%. And then the other side of this, and the one that I continue to critique Than and Mike on, is you suck at reading. The McGrews, McClatchy, you guys suck at reading the texts because you don't understand what these are. It's very much a genre issue. You can't sit down and read the Gospel of Matthew trying to pinpoint the intricacies of what actually happened, because that's not what the text is. That's just not what it is. Matthew's got his own authorial agenda in place, and you need to follow that.
Mm-hmm.
Because they clearly, time and time again, they never get it. They don't seem to understand the overarching theology and the larger stories, that the reasons that these authors are selecting the tropes that they are, why we're not going to get into it today, but like Rhett brings up the story from the Gospel of Matthew of the slaughter of the innocents as a way to show that, you know, he's pulling these prophecies together from Jeremiah, and then from what's the other one, Hosea, I think, out of Egypt. I called my son is the one. Rebecca is weeping for her children is the other one from Jeremiah, and smashing these things together, right, in order to in the service of this elaborate story but with a very intentional point. Like it's all about locking Jesus into this model that was already established by Moses. That's all of it. That's the whole thing. And but no, they're like, oh, well, you know, it could have happened, even if Bethlehem's small, so it's understandable if all the other historians missed it and Josephus missed it, and you know, it fits within, you know, Herod's, who, of course, it's a believable story. It sounds like something that Herod would have done. You're asking the wrong questions. Like, stop looking for these things that aren't there and set your focus back on what that text is actually trying to do. So,
$5 super chat from Tad is mad. CJ, do a video about undesigned coincidences that is just you recommending some other videos about from the dozens that already exist.
God damn, there you go. That's a good one.
There you go. But it would be wouldn't that be an undesigned coincidence if I made my own video?
Oh, checkmate atheist.
It would be about, yeah. It's
only if I like
right.
referenced Dan McClellan's video without
right.
which one at this point
made it
now?
clear that I had
yeah,
watched
seriously.
else. Yeah.
Dude, I've been having
he went down that rabbit hole. But...
I've been having to go through and catalog like all his videos because we get so many emails from people who are trying to like, what about this topic? Did you do a video on this? And it's getting overwhelming to the point where we're like, you know what? We're going to go through and catalog and tag every single one by topic and verse reference and everything so that you can just click on it and find your answer.
That's impressive.
This is
That is
too
good.
much.
Yeah, nice. Wow.
And
Vish is building the Dan McClellan library.
Yeah, there you go.
It's not just me.
That's cool.
There's a whole like collective of people who are pitching in to help volunteer with this project. But like as you can imagine, Dan puts out a lot of videos, so we're having to go back.
Yeah,
and
it does. It's crazy.
Forever. So yeah.
Can you jump ahead to because I did want to hit on this before we pop off, but maybe jump up to about the 20. Oh, we're almost there. Just press play.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching these videos a while ago, and going, yeah, okay, yeah, there's a lot of issues here with the rainbow bodies. Notice what Lydia doesn't do if you have time to watch these videos. She doesn't just dismiss them and go, oh, there's a natural explanation. No, she actually goes through the evidence, weighs the pros and cons, and it testifies, right, Lydia demolished this. This is not even comparable on level for the evidence we have for the resurrection.
It's
not even close.
I bet.
My question to Red is, have you looked into it
You
beyond
don't actually know the evidence for the resurrection.
Have you looked at the pros and cons?
Yep.
One of my problems with a lot of the people that deconstruct, they always do the same thing. They're like, oh, I read Bart Ehrman, then I read a little bit of Dale Allison, then I read a little bit of Paula Fredrickson. It's like, but did you read Lacona? Did you read the McGrews?
Why would you read Mike freaking Lacona?
But I'll tell you, I would read Mike Lacona before I ever read the McGrews, though.
My goodness, it's like, oh, you're reading a bunch of scholars who study this for a living. Have you tried the apologists? Man, get the hell out of here.
at least Mike can read the texts, and he understands where to locate the relevant contemporary literature, and he can read that too. At least he can do that much, because Lydia certainly can't.
I sense that there's a kettle whistling right now to signal that there's tea. Scripture and Scholarship says IP trashes Lydia McGrew privately. I have the DMs, Mike.
Ouch.
Oof.
Yeah.
Press play, because he's gonna say some stuff.
It really sounds like they're kind of telling on themselves that when it comes to these miracle claims, you just assume from the naturalistic worldview that stuff doesn't happen, so I don't need really to look at the evidence to challenge my worldview. Like, that's not the approach you should have, that we have said 1,000 times.
Yeah.
If there are real evidence for claims of Mormons or Buddhists or Muslims, we will look into it. What have we been doing over the past year on this channel? Really looking at the evidence for Islam. We did a bunch of streams earlier looking at the supposed evidence for Islam. Is Muhammad in the Bible? No. Are there scientific miracles?
Pause for a second.
He just did a whole bunch of Islamophobia and bigotry and is calling it investigation. So shut up.
Well, yeah, right. Like, I think that's part of this. Is Michael qualified to do that investigation? I'm not sure. Back it up just a couple of seconds, because I want to make sure we get these in here. Yeah, that's
Two
probably
streams
good.
earlier, looking at the supposed evidence for Islam. Is Muhammad in the Bible? No. Are there scientific miracles in the Quran? No. Is there? Did Muhammad predict the future? We did 2 streams on the alleged prophecies of Muhammad because we really wanted to look into this supposed evidence. We did not go, well, Muhammad can't predict the future, so that obviously didn't happen. Moving on.
All right.
No.
Hold on. I mean, we can do the same thing, can't we?
Mm-hmm.
Is Jesus in the Old Testament?
No.
Are there scientific miracles in the Bible?
No.
Does anything in the biblical text predict the future?
Maybe by accident.
Generically, yes, but not
Generically,
generic,
pattern
yes.
recognition.
or more often written after the fact. But I'm just I'm a skeptical scholar, so you know.
How did these? I think that's part of my surprise. And if you're watching this at any point, Mike or Than, I mean, I'll ask you this just directly: how do you not see this? How do you not see that this is all we're doing as, you know, skeptical scholars? We're approaching the biblical text the same way and coming to the same conclusions.
Okay, don't you understand that
It's just a
his
human
is the
book.
right one? He's in the right camp with
How
the
come you
true
don't take him more seriously?
Well, that was, you know, that's a rabbit hole. We don't have
No,
time to
I wasn't literally
It's
asking.
totally
It's
See me after class.
But I think that's
No, but it's like they're really good at well, I'm not saying they've understood these other religions either, but like I don't know that they've understood their own tradition. I don't know that they've read that closely. And when you look at scholars in teaching in seminaries and, you know, like Christian scholars who still say they don't call it evidence, you know, there's not evidence for the resurrection. There's a tradition about it. And, you know, some days we believe in it, but like, it's not, there's nothing that qualifies as evidence in any meaningful way. It's
You
it's a
also
belief. Coming back to what
physically
Rhett said, it's faith,
in
trust.
you can't have evidence for a resurrection because if you find the body, then he doesn't resurrect.
Yes. There's also the weird thing about like once you have a bodily resurrection, then you have to figure out what to do with it. And the one weird thing nobody seems to talk about is like Jesus rocketing off into space at the beginning of Acts. It's like,
what is that? Yeah. Like what?
He's sending it in heaven, just pew, bye guys.
What happened there?
We know a little bit about cosmology, and like we know if Jesus goes up to the clouds, I don't really know where he's going from there. But
it's really cold up there.
People saw it, so it must be real.
I mean, the body would like the body probably would have even if it's an incorruptible body, it still would have like it would still freeze, wouldn't it? Like
how high are the clouds? Also,
you
like
guys,
you'd be
you're overthinking this. That's just where the portal was to get to heaven. He had a perfect body, so he could go to heaven.
Yeah,
he would
that
only
makes sense.
freeze if you're a sinful, fallen, physical creature.
That makes some sense. I'm convinced.
Yeah, that does.
Gosh, it's so obvious.
Thank you, Vish, for setting us straight. So I think I thought I think there might be a couple that we didn't get. I don't know if we got to this one. Mike, stop being so fucking angry.
I think his face is just like that.
It's like every goddamn stream nowadays.
I've noticed though, like I haven't been doing this as long as, you know, people like Paul, but I've noticed that apologists get angry when they suck. Like when they have bad arguments, they perform anger as if like outraged to say, how could you even say this? Like, yeah,
that's a good observation.
Yeah, it's theater.
Yeah, it is. And there's another one from Stuck in the Liminal Lighthouse.
The idea of a special master who is not worldly, who has special secret lineage and wisdom is an Eastern trope that Blavatsky yoinked. Yeah, very much so. Emphasis on the Eastern part of it, because anything Eastern is mysterious and ancient.
Very mysterious. And
maybe Jesus went to the East.
Of course. Yeah, she was kind of on that train, like, oh, he went and learned from ascended masters, and he learned all the super deep secrets, and I have them now. And it's like you were just plagiarizing everyone.
He brought his yogi knowledge back to Palestine.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. I think
that's why modern Christianity looks nothing like any Eastern religion. Love it.
No, not even close.
Yeah.
Thank you, Claude Simeon.
Let's go down a different.
I love these Friday afternoon streams. Can't claim to retain everything, but learning what I can. Thanks, Kip and Vish, and guest CJ. Good channel. I watch. So
I mean, you watched all three of us simultaneously learn something in this stream where we figured, wait, Thomas didn't actually. So I love these streams. We'll get to
I learned about theosophy.
And
I'm so sorry.
About the existence of theosophy.
I'm so sorry. The more you learn, the more you're going to hate it. Everything is going to be against your will. I'm sorry.
It's terrible. All right. Well, I have to get out of here. But CJ, tell the good people where they can find you and about anything that you have coming up or anything you want to pitch. Shill time.
Yeah, shill time. CJ Cornthwaite, my name on the screen right there if you want to Google it.
All the cool kids are
YouTube
doing
it. All
your
the
own
cool
name
kids
on YouTube.
Google it.
Yeah.
So I'm on YouTube. I recently started a Substack, which is a little more, you probably didn't get this from the content of this stream, but I do still identify as a Christian and I do some reflections on faith and that sort of thing. So I have a Substack where I talk about that. Same name, CJ Cornthwaite. And yeah, those are the big things. I'm interviewing Richard C. Miller tomorrow. I have a chat with John Nelson coming up, who is a biblical scholar. We're talking about the Gospels. So yeah, I do Footnote Famous. Sorry, I have too much stuff. I also have a podcast called Footnote Famous where I interview Bible scholars, but it's on the YouTube channel, but you can also find it on podcast platforms as well.
Awesome.
Shout out CJ, because this is proof that you can still be a Christian and be normal about it.
Well, most people don't think I'm still a Christian. They think I'm lying about it, but there we go.
I know. It's the whole no true Scotsman thing.
No true Scotsman. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But there are a lot of actual just normal, rational, scholarly Christians out there. You can be one if you choose.
Yeah.
So this isn't one of those, you need to be an atheist. Nobody cares.
Dan McClellan gets told every day that he's not a real Mormon and actually an atheist too, right? So
I mean, he gets emails that are like, why are you a Mormon, or you're a bad Mormon, or you're not a Christian, or you're a bad Christian. It's all over the road. People are like, you're demonic, or you're this. It's like, shut up.
Yeah, it's also like people constantly discovering he's a Mormon, it seems, because every couple days it's like,
true.
I just realized I'm a Mormon.
What?
No.
It's true.
Like, he literally does live speaking events where he says, yeah, I'm still an active member of the LDS Church, like whatever. He teaches like Sunday school sometimes. This is not a secret.
I think that'd be a good Sunday school.
Yeah, I mean, and
I think so.
he teaches it. They asked him to do it too, so it's not like people are like, ugh.
There we go.
Unfortunately, there's way too many letters in Cornthwaite.
Yeah, that's right.
Help me out. Too before while I've got you, because I've always wanted to ask you, is it pronounced Cornthwaite, or is it like the way that Doug Grudius pronounced it, Cornthwaite?
I think you said it perfectly. Cornthwaite. I don't know. That's the way I've always said it. Yeah, you said it really well. Yeah,
nice,
he might have had some anger in his voice when he said it.
Is that why he put Cornth and then wait as to the two? Yeah.
So, don't be angry. Why do apologists got to be angry? Be chill.
It's chill out, guys.
Because their arguments aren't convincing to outsiders. That's why they're mad.
This sucks.
Yeah. So, all right. So from here, all of you are redirected to Top Hats Off for episode something or other of Star Trek Endurance, and then tomorrow, Vish and I will be back on Dapper Dinosaur's channel, doing something
debunking pseudoscience.
Terrible. Yeah, that stuff. And then tomorrow night is Budget Scripture Saturday. I'm very excited. So come out for that. And then next week. Hebrews every week now, guys. Every Thursday night. I'd invite you CJ, but I mean, I think you told me that your Hebrew is a little rusty, but
I would do it. I'm like I can read the basics, and I made a video with some Hebrew in it. Actually, Simone's in the chat, and Simone like called out a mistake, so I pulled it down. But I do want to keep.
Look what you did, Simone.
Well, no, I appreciated it,
when
but
we make
it wasn't in a
mistakes,
mean
yeah.
way. It was like an oh shit, I screwed that up. Let's try that again. But I'm determined to keep getting better at it as opposed to just never
Goals.
touching it again.
I want to see you on there one day. You
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. So all that to say, if
Yeah.
you ever invite me, I will come and stumble through
Goals.
it happily. Yeah.
All right.
Do it.
Okay. So weekly, every Thursday night at 5, and then we'll be back next week at the same time on this same channel. I haven't hardly got to do any of this stuff today. It feels like because we're done with Mike's video for a while.
Are there female rabbis?
Mike learned something in the middle of a live stream once too.
You better be glad that there's thousands of miles between us.
I think there's at least one female rabbi in the chat. Is that not right?
At least one. So
the reason he keeps playing that is because I am in the like early stages of studying to go into the rabbinate. Cool. So like that clip extra gives me brain damage.
I take it it's an attempt to say like Judaism is sexist or something.
Well, no, it's just that he doesn't know shit about Judaism the way that he doesn't know shit about Hebrew, shit about the text, shit about Greek. Like he just
For context, that was from Big Course is saying I'm surprised you didn't show that clip yesterday. The context of that was a response stream that Mike was doing to a video by Dr. Justin Sledge. And somebody, his wife is a rabbi, and somebody asked a question about that, and his assumption at the outset was that Justin Sledge must be gay because he's married to a rabbi, right?
So they're not okay with female rabbis, but they're okay with gay marriage. That's okay.
I don't know. It just I don't know. It was all so goddamn ignorant.
I mean, and that's the thing. It's like if you're not in one of the liberal streams of Judaism, which is basically Orthodox, ultra-Orthodox, and then sometimes occasionally modern Orthodox, then okay, you might be able to make that assumption. But literally outside of that primary group, Judaism is fine with female rabbis. It's fine with gay marriage. It's fine with, a lot of other things that evangelicals would positively just like have a heart palpitation over. So it hasn't always been that way, of course, but it's a tradition that continually like develops with time, as I think you should. So
Reconstructionists.
Recon, renewal. I mean, even the conservative, the Masorti movement, they ordain female rabbis. They have trans-inclusive liturgy now. So this is this is not like it's not a shock. Unless you don't know shit, in which case you're scandalized.
Right. Very true. All right. Well,
cool. Okay.
We got to get out of here. Thanks again, CJ, for coming.
Thank you. This was a lot of fun. I enjoyed this.
It was. Well, enough to do it again someday.
Hopefully. Yeah. Anytime.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thanks to you
all right,
both.
Everybody.
Great to hang out.
Yeah. Be good. And I have to
be excellent to each other.
Be excellent to each other. And oh right, I put them all. We're all down here. Sorry, this is terrible. Yes. So be good, everybody. Be safe, and as always, ha tikva.